Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 369. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Johnny V.
Hi, Terry Miller.
Hi. We're here.
We're here. We're both here, which cannot be said about us this weekend. I will not be doing. I will not be partaking in the MCO this weekend.
Funny, either am I.
Yeah, I think you are.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But we can get into all that stuff later. We've got guests. We're waiting. The reason why we're fashionably late is we had made sure to line up two guests tonight at once.
Yeah, they're coming in at the exact same time, and we're going to get some updates. They got some things in the works. Of course, later on, we're going to recap a little bit what we saw from the Match Play Championships from this previous weekend, and then also we're going to be looking ahead to the upcoming weekend as the PDJ National Tour will come to a conclusion here for the 2021 iteration. So Music City Open taking place. Love to recap that or preview that and talk a little bit about what we're going to see, 4-round event, blah, 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 all that other good stuff that goes along with it. And then guess what? We even have guests that are actually already lined up for next week. So stuff's getting serious around here that we're actually a little bit ahead of ourselves in terms of who we're going to see and be talking to in the upcoming weeks. There's actually a ton of golf stuff happening over these next few months. And there's no better segue than that, because we're going to bring in right now none other than Steve Rico and JRay.
Rico and JRay, my favorite boy band.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Tell me, what would be the single? What's your debut single?
Oh,
Fairways
Fireball and Mistakes.
Fireball and Mistakes. Come on, guys. Take it easy there.
Listen, I've been around both of you. We've never, ever made mistakes after Fireball.
No, never.
It's never been a mistake.
Not that the outside world does not know. So
yeah, exactly. That's why that's why it's always PG. All right. Well, again, we've got Steve Rico and JRay, and guys, I feel like as the sport continues to grow, we have these segments, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. We have this world of juniors that are truly becoming the next up-and-coming professionals. We have our open divisions, and then our open division players of yesteryear are now turning into these incredibly talented Masters players and creating this entire new world of Masters that are truly more talented than ever before, because we're seeing that shift. You guys both make up exactly that. Spoiler alert, folks. These guys are 40 or over. But you guys make up part of that contingency. And with that, we're seeing events that are catering and tailored to these different groups. So, with all of that as a setup, what do you guys have going on?
Man, thank you guys. I know how hard that was for you, for as passionate as you are for Masters.
Listen, you're talking to two masters.
You are.
Right,
This is now a Masters show.
And we love our Masters peeps. They're just
That's
not
true.
quite
well,
The spotlight.
well, at least you two still love the Masters.
okay. Yeah, if we have to.
No,
When we're paid to.
we've obviously we both have the last couple of years been competing in Masters. As you know, and I feel like Stevie and I have been two of the biggest advocates of that process. Jeff Hungerford has really pushed hard for Masters, and with the PDJ Board of Directors now. But as you guys said, I mean, just some of the names: KJ Nybo, Steve Rico, Steve Brinster, Michael Johansson. The list goes on and on of U.S. champions, national tour champions that are now competing at a Masters level and still doing it really, really well. So that said, Bud Hill is my home course in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's always been one of the top 10 or 20 private courses that were ranked in the country, according to whatever pundits are putting those together. But Barbara and Danny Daniels started the Bud Hill Masters tournament. I believe it was 6 years ago, maybe 7 now. This is the first year that we've made it sanctioned. And so we started it as a B tier with the hopes of maybe talking Mike Downs and Big Doug into making it an A tier next year. But this is my first year as the TD of that event. And with the help of Steve and Legacy, they came on as one of our title sponsors, as our manufacturing sponsor, and stepped up in a big way. We have another company that's local to Memphis. I think it's a national brand actually, but Waste Connections is our title sponsor for the event, and through that and a whole bunch of very generous people in Memphis and the surrounding areas, we've raised over about $7,000 in just added cash, and with Steve and Legacy's donations, we're probably over 9,000 total in added overall purse, and then swag with it. So this is the first year that we've expanded it from 90 people, and we bumped it up to 140. And so we're really stoked. There's still a few spots left in some of the more age protected divisions than 40, but the ladies haven't showed up quite in the droves that the guys have. But we're stoked about that. And Steve and Bamba have been huge ambassadors, obviously with Legacy and Four Disc Golf. But now that they're both old like the rest of us, I think they feel a little more motivated to start kind of putting a little more spotlight on some big Masters events and Masters only events.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, when did you guys start caring about Masters players?
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 43.
So about 3 years ago.
Steve, you're 42.
Yeah, I'm 42, and yeah, just as when I started to turn Masters, I started to think a lot about it, and after playing a few Masters events, I started to realize how we are so really not cared for out there on the tour, and I want to at least try to help out and change that as much as I can, and focus a little bit more spotlight on the Masters. Hopefully, they get a little more media coverage and a little more recognized. A lot of these guys started this way back in the day. They've been playing, and now you look at a lot of the Masters guys. I mean, JRay runs a ton of tournaments. I'm running an A tier next year for so there's a lot of Masters that actually are running big events for the top pros as well. And that goes unseen and unheard of. So I think the Masters need to be recognized a little bit more.
Yeah, I certainly love the personal connection, because obviously some of the biggest advocates are going to be people themselves that are in a position to, whether it's a discrimination or whatever the case might be. I love that you've become an advocate, and we are here as well. And I know we always toss around some jokes about the various divisions, but it's not really abnormal. At the same time, it's not abnormal that the premier divisions usually gain or garner the most spotlight. Is that fair to say? I mean, of
course.
Yeah.
Well, there needs to be an advocate because
correct.
It's the way the system works. If you don't push yourself, nobody will. And we all know that for years and years, we were struggling to get any spotlight on the sport. And so now that we have some spotlight, it's all, I'm going to say all, and that's kind of a subjective term, it's all pointed at the pro divisions, the open divisions. And so the bigger the spotlight gets, the more shine we can push on other divisions.
So I'd ask both of you, what do you feel like you would consider a success when it comes to promotion and it comes to shining that spotlight and attention? What do you guys have anything in particular that you would consider like, hey, here's a successful bar that we're trying to attain?
Go ahead, Jay.
For me personally, it was the first I haven't been in this sport for a tremendously long amount of time. It's been 10 years or so. But my first few world championships, we were combined with the Open and the women, the FPO and MPO. And there were, obviously there's a fanfare that's different with that. There's a lot of celebrity that comes with that. And it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. You feel celebrated. And I think I understand why we got separated for the world championships, because we're you know, and I get it. I get that we were making more spots, we're making more room to have more players involved in the World Championships in those two divisions. And I think next year will be it'll be, I think, a move in the right direction. I would still love to see all the pro divisions combined at Worlds, just because I feel like that's, you know, they're all the pro divisions, you know. But I think adding the juniors and the age protected AMs next year in Peoria will be, it at least gives us kind of a built-in group of people that fill the courses and that come out and watch and that celebrate what's going on. You know, I spent the last, you know, 3 out of the last 5 weeks in Maine with several of our junior players and a lot of really, really exceptional kids that we went to Green Mountain. We did Maine State Championships. We did, you know, several other events where I was hanging out with these kids a lot, and they come out and follow. They come out and carry your bags, and they do, you know, the things that the Pro Tour has all the time, you know, and understandably so. But I think that addition of those kids that still look up to the pioneers of the game, like Steve and Brentster and, you know, Avery and McCabe and blah blah blah. The list goes on and on. That allows more parents, more kids, a lot of the age protected AMs that still look up to us as, you know, the guys that are doing it on a different level but are the same age as them. So I hope that you know, that becomes a very positive thing for our World Championships. But to me, it's just giving us the same. You know, I don't want to throw out specific events or things, or, you know, throw anybody under the bus, but our majors have not been exceptional over the last couple of years. This year, I didn't go to U.S. Masters. I heard that Joe did an incredible job, and that group really did amazing things just throughout the whole event. Players were glowing about it, and after the fact, you're seeing all the pictures and the photographs and the you know, the celebration of each individual from certain divisions. And so, but the last few years they've struggled with those particular events, and they haven't felt like majors. They felt like just run-of-the-mill tournaments. And so this year, Masters Worlds, they did a great job. Tim Barr and those guys really stepped up and did an amazing job. They had a ton of volunteers and spotters and things out there on the course for us. So it's really the simple things, I think, that we don't expect coverage, and we don't expect you know, $10,000 first place prizes and things like that. But we do expect to be treated like we're still professionals, and to have the work that goes in on the front end for every other major event and Pro Tour and Elite Series event to be done for our big events as well.
I think there's a really interesting thing, if I step back on what you said. There's two sides to the coin that I see. With the PDGA, when we were coming up and everything was mixed, part of the selling to an area was the number of people, like the economic impact that we would have in an area.
Right.
When you bring in 4, 5, 6, 700 people to an event, that makes a serious economic impact to an Emporia, to a Milwaukee, to, you know, some of these.
Sure.
I don't want to say smaller, because Milwaukee's not small, but almost any city when you have a convention that size. When the PDGA has split this off and you have an open field, like Open Worlds, and you're bringing in 212 people, or just a Junior Worlds where there's, I don't know how many are Junior Worlds, like 220, 150, 200.
Yeah.
Like, on one hand, I think, God, you're not getting that same impact to an environment. You're not seeing the same results. But on the flip side, as we all know, it's a lot easier for a local club or a group to be able to cater to a specific group that's smaller. You have more options and places to go, because you can go to a Quad Cities, or I'm trying to think of a smaller area even that could support it. A Green Mountain, where there's only 2 courses in the area, that can support a Masters. There's no way that could support a combined Masters and Juniors. It's not realistic. So I mean,
they kind of did it this year.
A little bit.
Didn't come off great. but
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. I mean, just in general, it's easier when you need fewer resources, but
Yeah.
it makes less of an impact. So I get the issue, but as you know, Terry and I can attest to, there was nothing more fun for us than going to these huge Worlds events where everybody was treated
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
family, and you saw everybody. And I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I'd love to see it once every 5 or 7 years, just a big combined Worlds where you have Open
Yeah,
and
I mean-
Masters. And I don't know about juniors, but a lot of the open field, I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I know DD. It was, I think 2 or 3 years ago that Rusco or maybe Doug had mentioned it to me, but they submitted to the PDGA to, I think it was every 4th or 5th year, run a combined Worlds in Emporia, and it got shut down. But you know, and I get that. I understand the things with Emporia that make that difficult. But yeah, it would be awesome. But it would take a Charlotte or a Portland or a somewhere like that to really step up and make that work. And then when you look at those, we're scattered on one side of the nation or the other, and so that makes it even harder for people to travel when you're going all the way across the country.
Well, so Steve, I'll ask you this question: as you know, we were just talking about everybody together, or as JRay mentioned, at least all the professionals together in the same area for World Championships. Do you feel like if we do have that, and some revert back to that, that idea, do you feel though that some divisions just simply don't get highlighted nearly as much when that happens because there's so much emphasis on FPO and MPO that even if all professionals are in the same city being hosted at a great event, there's still not going to be as much emphasis on the age protected divisions? Is that how do we win that, or come up with that perfect mix?
Well, yeah, I miss those days too when it was all combined, and I get it. The sport's just growing, and the age-protected divisions make up a big majority of that. So I understand, but we played a lot of combined tournaments where the Masters went to go play the other course, and the OB lines were taken down. There's no tents out there. We've dealt with that already quite a few times. It's kind of like that a lot. But even in some of the Masters events that I've played, there's already been a lot of that. Our social media is one of the guys on his phone taking a picture and uploading it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so that's, I
really
guess,
know.
what I'm saying. Is it almost impossible
To have that many resources?
to have enough shine be put on our open divisions, and then enough shine also and dedication be put into the Masters? Like I feel like that's one advantage of splitting them up at a Worlds, for instance, is because for that week it's either one or the other, and they're not competing for headlines. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, but either way, even though that we're separated, I still haven't really seen anything remotely close to in favor of Masters divisions at all yet. So, in some of these events that we played, like JRay said, some of them haven't been up to what we thought they should be. I skipped the last Tim Solinsky last week. Just I didn't know how it was going to be. I wasn't sure, and it really didn't mean anything to me. I just skipped it. I had to go to work, and I was like, I just better stay. I didn't even have any. Wasn't even enthused to even go to it. So a lot of it's just the way it's been treated in the past. And I know it's been great. The Masters Worlds was great. I heard a lot of good things about the Tim Solinsky. It's just we don't really know what we're getting into, and therefore it's like the excitement and everything behind it just isn't there. So that's why it's like really not a
And
it's not a big deal to me. You know what I mean? To play some of these events sometimes.
And so what you're going for is with this is to maybe set a standard at an event to showcase and highlight and maybe show to people that the Masters is quote unquote still worth watching. Is that
it's not even really about that. I just wanted to be treated correctly, bro. That's all. You
Okay.
know, just treat us
Yeah,
correctly.
I think
You
it's
know,
a
it's not
matter
even
of
about,
leading by example.
you know, we didn't even have to highlight us. There's a lot of great master players now that are right at that age and are moving from open into the masters, and you know, whatever with all that. We just want to be treated correctly. You know what I mean? That's all.
I feel like maybe, and this maybe stinks for you and me and JRay and Terry, that we're kind of always going to be on the cusp of something, like the cusp of Masters. Right now, not a lot of shine. 10 years ago, disc golf in general, not a lot of shine. In 10 years, when we see this explosion of young players start to get older, you're everywhere from, you know, the 30-year-olds, or maybe it's another 15 years, I don't know, 25 to 30-year-olds start to get in the Masters field. You're going to see a much bigger influx of Masters, because right now we've got a decent field size, but it's still not comparable to advanced or open at this point. I worry that maybe we're just
Ahead of our time.
we're just always going to be ahead of our time, you know, and maybe in 10 or 15 years we'll be complaining that, oh my gosh, those Masters, they get all the shine. I'm an MP50 now, and I need to see why don't they have cameras following us? And maybe that's going to be the case, in that in 10 or 15 years we're going to have a Masters tour. We're going to be able to see that be profitable, just because disc golf will be that size. I don't know.
So I guess with that, I'll pose it to you guys. I know Jeff Hungerford, as you mentioned, and others have conversations, and there's an entire committee and such. Should we have a Masters tour? And if so, the much bigger question is who should be running that?
I think that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've gone through this with, you know, Hokum over the last couple of years has always talked about a women's tour, and I think we're seeing more with the things that Jeff Duquois is doing with Vegas this coming year in 2022, reducing the AM fields and expanding the Masters divisions fields, and more events like the Bud Hill Masters, and there's another one in Arkansas. There's Solinsky and Masters Worlds. I think that there's room for an 8 or 10 event tour to be there, but it's got to be. I digress back to what we were talking about before. I think that the biggest misstep in some of these events has been, every big event has a hype man. It has somebody that stands out in front of it and leads the charge to celebrate what's going on, and we just don't have that, and we have to depend on the clubs or the individuals that are running these events and stepping up to do all this work, and then on top of that, now we got to have somebody come hype it up and make it where people are interested, because there's a lot of similarities between, I think, the women and the Masters in a lot of ways, and without falling into that rabbit hole, I think that there's definitely, I mean, if you put Felberg and Brinster and KJ Nimbo and Rico on a card versus an open women's card, what's going to get more views on YouTube?
That's a great question.
That's honestly a good question.
But and it's not, and again, it's not about the sending media crews out. Like, I think that'll happen in time, because there's so many more media crews popping up that need to go do, find things to fill their time slots. And so, but I think that as this progresses, I think that there's a legitimate possibility that something like that can be successful. It's not going to be a pro tour. It's not going to be something that's, the pro tour is going to end up being 30 plus events before we know it.
Don't say that.
And sorry, but that's where it's going. And so I think there's definitely a desire and a need, and I think that as time goes on, and the advantage I think that the Masters have is that we're the ones that spend the most money. We have money. We stay in hotels. We go out.
Stay in hotels, right?
We're not sleeping on people's couches, and
Yeah.
and we can get, BioFreeze and
Yeah.
a whole bunch of other old people products
Yeah.
to sponsor our events.
That's you're not far off. I made the joke with someone in the studio the other day that your 30s are great because they're like your 20s with money, but your 40s are even better because you don't care about all the crap you cared about in the 20s and 30s, and now you have all this money because you're not going out and spending it. You're
Right.
you're doing things like you're treating yourself better. I mean, we were all there staying at the cheapest hotels where you're sharing a bed with two other people.
He's a little spoon for a reason.
Yeah,
All right.
there's big spoon. I mean, we've all been there, and now you wouldn't catch me dead doing that. I'd be like, no, I'm cool, bro. I'll get my own hotel room. I'm not sharing a bed with
Three other guys.
with 3 other people.
That sounds like college. Anyway, so
Hey, we all try things. But so you're right. At this age, you start to realize that you need to take better care of yourself. You need to start investing in comfort, and there is a definite financial advantage to that in a division or a field like that.
So, Steve, I'll kind of challenge you on this and just say, with our newest generation and newer players and younger players and just newer to the game, do you feel at all slighted or frustrated by the fact that so many people will never know our pioneers and our innovators and our godfathers and our the trailblazers, whether that's yourself and your brother and your dad and then literally hundreds of other people that of course laid down a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get this tournament or get this sport to push forward. Does that like somewhere deep down, does that frustrate you that some people will never care about who Steve Rico is, or will never come to learn that you could walk right past 50 of the newest players and they won't necessarily even recognize you? Does that frustrate you?
And I've seen it happen a lot, with when who's the greatest? Is it Paul or is it Kenny? And not a lot of guys know Kenny. Everybody has their opinion, and I battled with both of those guys when they were the best, and I was at my best. And my opinion doesn't matter. You see all these different things on Facebook, and you got guys chiming in about this and that. Who are they? You know what I mean? So those are just a lot of voices out there, and who are these guys? They're just voices on Facebook. You know what I mean? So, in a way, if I didn't have legacy, yes, I'd be a very bitter person, bro, about it. But since I have this company and it's massively grown, and we're out there and we're sponsoring, we're on the other side of playing now. We're still players, and that's how we started. But we are, we're making discs. We're pushing out a lot of product. We're sponsoring. We're a part of a lot of events. I do a lot of charities. I do a lot of clinics. I run events. There's so much more to actually playing this game that a lot of people don't even know about, and that's kind of upsetting, It's kind of upsetting that, you see the Pro Tour and what all these kids are doing. It's like, okay, great. But what about all the guys that are grinding on the backside that no one knows about? These are the guys. These are the real heroes out there. These guys running big events, running these charities, doing big stuff, Those are the guys who are the heroes, And yeah, it kind of sucks that, we don't get recognized. But
yeah, and I mean,
that's my opinion on it.
No, and I hear you, and I think in all fairness that happens probably in every industry. I mean, if you think about Giannis and all these other guys doing all this great stuff at the Bucks, I mean, who's sweeping up the the Fiserv forum afterwards, and who's doing all this stuff on the back end? Who's making the trades to get these players? Who's doing all the recruiting? Obviously, the person that's out there scoring 50 points is the one that's getting all of that shine and limelight, and therefore is revered as the most important, the MVP of both the organization and or of the whole league or whatever. I just worry that for you personally, you, because we've had long talks and we can be frank here, I feel like there's just an acceptance to help with any of that frustration, because
there has to be. I mean,
yeah, in every industry, there's always the person before them and the generation before them that probably helped get them there. And we're such a young sport that I know we're connected to a lot of the pioneers. But let's face it, I mean, right now, how many people, whether it's on this podcast or otherwise, have no idea who Ken Climo is? And again, arguably one of the greatest of all time. And that makes the four of us kind of cringe or chuckle, but there are tens of thousands of people who will have no idea if Ken Climo was standing in front of them in line at Dick's Sporting Goods, they wouldn't even know who he is. We have to accept that. As frustrating as that might be,
that's why
we have to accept
we're
it.
very fortunate that we do have people in our sport that are trying to document this type of stuff. Locally, we've got Tom McManus, who's collecting, a lot of Midwest and Wisconsin history. We've got the Hall of Fame that highlights and shows. I mean, you're right. Every sport has this.
But some people will never care or look at the Hall of Fame.
Does anyone care about Mickey Mantle? Well, no. I guess. Congratulations. Like that is life. That's a short memory. That's
sports.
Life,
and that's just the way it goes, and it's just like that. Yeah, it's like that in all sports, and it's disappointing, but whatever, life goes on, and just it is what it is. I plan to be around doing a lot of the other side of the game, until I can no longer do it. But
yeah, you're pretty young yet, so
I will. I'll be around. I'll be around for a while.
Hey, you're the young guy in the room. When's the last time that was the case, huh, Steve?
Oh, wow.
I mean, by like a couple months.
The lowest PDJ number.
Yes, that's true.
When I enter a tournament, I'm definitely like one of the only 4-digit numbers still around.
Oh gosh, let's sidetrack just for a second, please. Let's sidetrack. Last week when our internet actually cut off, we were in a heated conversation because of an event a few weeks ago. Someone had brought up and said, hey, it's old and antiquated to continue to use PDGA numbers as a tiebreaker. You have someone that ties for the round, then you go to the previous round, blah, 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 and then ultimately lowest PDGA number gets the nod to, be on the upper cards. I'll ask either of you. JRay, you've run 1 billion tournaments. Steve, you've run short of 1 billion, but quite a few. You also have a very low PDGA number. If someone were to change, what's the most compelling argument to change it to anything but PDGA number? Is there anything you guys can think of?
I don't know, better previous round, maybe?
Okay. So let's just say the rounds matched. Let's say you and I, both shot 47s in round 2. We both shot 46s in round 1. And so then it goes to PDGA number. So let's say we're tied there.
Okay. Then I don't know, maybe flip a coin or something like that. I don't really agree with the low PDGA number. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a. What do you think, JRay?
He's deferring officially.
As someone who runs a crap load of tournaments,
1 billion.
There is no better system than what we currently have. Because
bam, there you go.
Just for the sake of time and the effort that it would take, it's a whole new how do we figure out if we choose most birdies the previous round or blah blah blah? Who birdied the last hole? Who has time to go do that crap?
Some would say with the digitalization of where we're at, that could all be relatively easily coded. And so whether it's a UDisc or a PDGA, it could literally just spit out and be like, oh, yep, it recognizes there's a tie, and then it could just be programmed to see, oh, this person won the next tiebreaker, whatever we determine that is. I agree with you, and I don't think that's applicable at a C tier than with paper scorecards, but
live scoring.
It has to have live scoring.
Who had the best circle 2 putting in round number 3?
There you go.
I mean, there's a lot of things that have been thrown out, and that's why I'm being genuine when I ask this, because I agree with you guys. I think, or at least you, JRay, I agree that the PDGA number is because it's unique to every single person, and I'm good with it. I'm open to it being changed if it were ever to become, but I need a really good, compelling, obvious way to do it, and I've yet to hear one.
Yeah, no. And honestly, it gives a little homage to the older guy. You know, like
it's a little sign of respect.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and granted, in 10 years, you know, do we care if, you know, it's PDGA 15151 or 14862? You know,
and let's be honest, we only care if it's the person in 4th and 5th place.
Yeah.
Outside of that, nobody gives a crap.
Or in this case, because we're growing, you're exactly right.
Whatever it is.
Exactly. I was just going to say 4th and 5th, 8th and 9th. At some point, it's going to matter between, you know, 12th and 13th. Again, because we're talking about cards that are getting coverage. And that was one of the major arguments for it is, you know, this is an opportunity where somebody might be getting into coverage, getting a share of the limelight. But because they're only 2 years into the sport, you know, they're losing out, you know, because they tied Steve and Steve's, you know, 4.666.
Then make one more putt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
like that.
Look at it this way. When I still played Open, I mean, I still play Open. I played Open last weekend, but I was always getting the benefit in Open. I was always getting the bump with a 5-digit number, a low 5-digit number. In Masters, don't even think about that. I'm going way back. I'm moving down 2 cards.
There you go. So anyway, it was. I only bring it up because it was a topic that we were discussing last week. I'm open to a change, but it's got to be a really, really compelling one that's easy to apply everywhere, and that's where I just feel like the number currently, as old or antiquated as is, it still makes sense to me.
Smart guy Dion on the board. Statmando. He's right in that the most fair way would be random. But that's also difficult in a lot of environments. In the future, let's just say 10 years down the line, when everything is digital scorecards, whether it's a C tier, a B tier, an X tier, maybe you can have an option as a TD to be like, what do you want your first tiebreaker to be? I want it to be random. No, I want it to be birdies. I want it to be bogeys. I mean, in the future, that's fine. Right now, not realistic. That's why PDGA number right now is, I think, the easiest solution, because if it was random and you had to do cards, again, as we said, nobody cares. You know, I could sit and shuffle the cards and pick one out and be like, all right, I guess you're going to be 4th and you're going to be 6th, and ultimately, you know, that's what it is. But we'll get there. We'll get there in the future. But for now, PDGA.
All right, guys. So, Steve, at what point is there, like we saw over at a Dynamic Disc, at what point are you hiring a full-time tournament director like a Doug Bjerkes to then just host the 2022 Masters Tour?
Are you applying?
I mean, right? Because we keep talking about it's gonna take this effort and that effort. Who's gonna step up? Who needs to step up? Maybe that's a better question. Who needs to step up? Because we need great events, and we need whether it's a tour and or some kind of organization, who should be stepping up?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. You know, there's players got to step up. I'm going to try to run some stuff. You know, PDJ's got to help out and get in there too as well. And I think it's a little bit of a part on everyone, a lot of people. So. Like, it's hard to put it on one person to do this. I think it's going to take a team of people to make this happen.
One thing I worry about in this overall conversation is, and I hear this a lot because I'm in media, I often hear, well, we really need more coverage on the juniors. They're the future of our sport, literally the future of our sport. They're the up-and-coming players. Oh, well, we need more coverage on the advanced players because they're like semi-pros, and they're going to be the next generation of professionals we're going to see. Or we need more coverage on our masters and grandmasters and legends. They're the pioneers of the game. Can you understand how it's really tough because every division feels like they're the most important?
Well, I wouldn't say the most important, but they have
absolutely
they have an argument to be made as to why there should be coverage. So I don't know. Have you heard all the stories about MCO? Hey, do you really want the PDGA running your tour?
No, but I think it's time they step up and help out a little bit.
I'm obviously we're big supporters of the PDGA here, and they're getting a lot of flack right now. But I do think that in the future we're going to see a consolidation under as JRay hinted at, the Pro Tour is going to take over the pro level touring, which will leave the PDGA resources, hopefully, to be able to focus on other, I don't want to say divisions, so to speak, but maybe other.
Should they, though?
I don't know. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they couldn't. If they wanted to focus on a junior or a Masters tour to help out with that, or because if they're not needed for the pro divisions, let's just say that they can kind of wash their hands of the open fields, FPO and MPO, and that they can maybe utilize resources in other ways. We've all heard for years and years how, they're going to hire someone and then they're going to, raise money for the PDGA from outside sponsors and this and that. And we haven't seen anything, like zero.
What about this? What about if the Pro Tour, we talked with Jeff about this, kind of like a Japan Open system where you take the top 25 or 40 Masters players in the world, and they're all able to compete on an open level.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we put in a side pot? Because now number one, you're actually strengthening your field by having the Masters players there, because you're dropping off a bunch of 9, 20, and whatever rated players out of the bottom of the pool. And let us pay an extra $100 for a side pot, and then we'll pay the normal entry fee to play in the Pro Tour.
I think that's kind of a fun idea.
In theory, you could just play the Pro Tour without the side pot too, right? You're
right, but incentivize more of us to come, because we have to play lights out. We're not. None of the Masters are beating the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, and I agree with your idea here. I guess my question is that more of a valuable idea if the Pro Tour's Open Division was struggling with participation, which I don't feel like it is right now. Do you know what I mean?
But it's struggling with depth.
Okay,
could be. Yeah.
You're bringing more celebrity, more names in. You're bringing higher rated players for sure than your lowest 25 or 30 rated players, whatever it is. And it deepens your field. It brings more celebrity to it. It brings, and it gives us another avenue to go compete and feel like we're still there. Like that we still have that I guess the credibility to go compete at a high level.
I was gonna say, I kind of see that as a short-term solution, because
I'm not saying it's not.
Because we've seen the fields in the open field starting to grow, and we're starting to kind of shave off those lower rated players. The 950 and below. Pretty soon it's going to be 970 and below, and now I think in the next 2 to 3 years you're not going to see a 1,000 rated player and below at a Pro Tour event. I just don't think you will. And personally, I've stated on the record, I'm happy with that. And in fact, I want to limit the field size. I don't want to see a Pro Tour size, a field bigger than 70 players. It shouldn't be. In my opinion,
PGA events have way bigger fields than that.
Good for them.
Johnny's out on his own limb with that.
I am.
Just let's all be clear.
I am. This is a Johnny statement.
Statements here of this podcast and stupid shit that Johnny says is of his own.
I don't see a point. I think, and on top of having only 72 players, we should be cutting fields after whatever round. And let me think about it this way:
cutting the field. Yeah.
We've already seen when we have events. Now we're going off on a total tangent of 112, 150 people. Congratulations, one rain delay screws everybody. We got half the field finishing in the dark now. Is that where we want to be? Because we're not to the point where we're finishing on Mondays, if that happens. Now, we might be in the next year or two. I don't know, but I know. That's my own thing. So as far as bringing in the Masters, now are you saying that you would just want the Pro Tour to facilitate that? Because there's nothing to stop JRay from collecting an extra $100 from every Masters player at the event. Like,
I mean, that's true, but that's kind of circumventing
it is
the Pro Tour, and so
a little bit. I mean, they're still getting there. They're still getting theirs, brother. Now you can shave a little off the top.
Yeah.
Be like
what's that new sponsor they've got? Maybe we can go to them and let them handle it.
There you go.
All right, so
I don't know about them. I've never heard of them.
So both of you guys have played against him, and you know him. I'm going to switch this over to what Dave Felberg has accomplished. As he's been the major front runner here of all this, what he's accomplished with the Next Gen Tour, right, and the amateur disc golf tour, he's proven that an entire additional tour that literally has now spanned with its satellite events has spanned the entire country. Could you see that approach? But maybe for age protected, could you see that approach, or is there something more, we'll say, national tour or pro tour, where the events are a little bit more structured and rigid in that way, and there's a lot less of them? Could you see an NADGT approach?
I think personally,
I don't know the whole.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I personally think that's that model is we don't have the volume of players to support that kind of model. And for us, it needs to be more finite and whittled down to specific events, as opposed to we don't have hundreds of thousands of AMs or 100,000, whatever it is, to choose from across the country. We have 3,000 Masters players that compete across the country in the pro division, and so that makes it more difficult to, for Bud Hill Masters, we've got players from, I want to say it's like 11 or 12 states coming in for that, which is great for a tournament that it's its first year sanctioned. Obviously the added cash helps with that, but and having a historical course helps with that as well. But I think you have to lean on individuals in more popularized areas that can run specific events and be target area. Jaqua in Vegas, and do one in Portland and one in New England and one in Nashville or Memphis or whatever. But being very pointed in where we're trying to start, because we want to give players the most advantageous way to compete and be there without it having to be kind of a cattle call, because we don't have the players to do that.
Yeah, I guess that's there's a lot of different ways that I think about how, as you mentioned with a Jaqua at Vegas, I saw that he had posted that there's going to be more spots available for the age-protected divisions, and naturally, and this kind of alludes to what I was saying before, is the first complaint that came in, or the thread, very much was, well, wait a minute, why are you getting rid of people in this division or that division? And it's an impossible balancing act. Clearly, the whole, you can't please everyone phrase gets thrown out there, because you can't.
We've had events that literally survived based on the amateur players. I mean, that's how we paid for them for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're finally getting the place where people have developed a system and built an event big enough where they don't have to depend on the amateur players anymore. They have enough money raised to support the event on its own. And I think Jeff is in that place now, where Jeff's built a big enough animal with the LBC that he can forego and create smaller amateur divisions. He still wants to have them, because you need it still to some extent, but the Pro Tour has proven that you don't need it. You can run professional level events without having amateurs there to fund it.
Yeah, and part of that though is the media that pushes it is because of the want and the desire and the eyeballs that are on the players that are there. They also then help elevate the overall presence of the event, and those eyeballs generate us, money to a certain degree as well. And I think it's fair to say, as much as we all would love to watch, a Brian Schweberger, Barry Schultz, Steve Rico, Avery Jenkins, Steve Brinster, JRay battle, the numbers aren't going to be overwhelming in terms of people, strapping into their chair on Saturday afternoon to watch that. I might, but I'm in a minority at that point.
Right. And nobody is talking about live coverage for things like that. I mean, there's still
We are now.
value in the post production. Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
And so I think that there are, again, with as many new companies that are coming out to try to jump on the bandwagon of doing post production video. Somebody's got to find their own niche somewhere, and I think that there are options with Masters Worlds or U.S. Masters or a Bud Hill Masters for that matter. They're this year has because of the logistics of USDGC and Pro Tour finale and things that we talked to Yeti and Johnny and a lot of the guys that we would typically normally have at this event, but they're committed to other things but you still have Shasta Chris and Dutch Napier and some really good still pro level players that are coming and are going to hang out with us. And so and again I go back to, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't have any idea how to make it work, but I'm still in the process of trying, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we're trying to start with the Masters at Bud Hill, and the basis of this whole thing was just to celebrate the fact that, man, we had several communities in Little Rock and Memphis and Mississippi that really came up big to support this thing, and then companies like Legacy and Waste Connections and several other big sponsors that came in to help us raise a whole bunch of money for a Masters only tournament, a Pro Master only tournament, and it shows me that number one, there's a willingness and a desire for people to support it and to see it, and two, that even if there isn't, we still are going to do it, and so and we want this to continue to grow. And Barbara and Danny Daniels that own Bud Hill are just two of the most amazing humans I know, and they have this immaculate golf course that we are so excited to have people from all over the country come to and celebrate with us and enjoy some Masters golf.
Is there a post-production company lined up already so people can watch this? Or
I've got somebody that's talking to GK Pro. I don't know if that's going to happen. We might be waiting on that for next year because this whole added cash thing came together in a matter of like 3 weeks, and so it wasn't planned out well enough to try to secure one of those guys. Plus, you've got USDGC and Pro Tour finale all going on, so we might try to finagle the scheduling a little bit better next year.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Steve, do you, when you're approached by events, what are some of the things that pique your interest the most in terms of, because I'm sure you're asked to support them above and beyond simply stamping up discs and getting custom discs out for events, which of course you're eligible for and everyone can do. But when somebody is looking for even additional support, what are the things that interest you the most when a tournament director comes to you and says, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a little extra help beyond just the custom stamping or a large stock order"? What things are you looking either to hear or for them to satisfy?
Okay, well, first off, I had to change positions here. So Can you guys
Yeah,
see me?
it looks it looks like you built a fort, and now you've got like a cardboard box.
I had to plug in. This is the only spot, so
Oh
I was
yeah,
losing battery. So,
you're good.
but it depends a lot on the event and the size of the event. We do a lot of we stamp a lot of discs out for smaller events, B tiers and C tiers, and we add sponsorship merchandise that comes along with it. But for big events, such as the Bud Hill, we donated a lot of discs. We're going to have banners out there. JRay's always supported me, so I want to support him. So we did a lot more. When it's Am Worlds, we donate 700-800 discs to Am Worlds. We want our banners out there and the Fly Mart and being able to set up or run like a confidence clash and that kind of thing. So depending on the size of the event and what we can donate to these a major, then we ask for if we can get the banners, we can get all that other stuff.
Okay. Legacy. What's big picture for Legacy? I mean, obviously, this has lit a fire under you and kind of, we'll say, a master's initiative. But what's the big picture then for Legacy?
We're just growing. We just got some more machines. We're constantly just running new materials and plastics, making new molds. So we're just keep grinding and keep growing. And now we're starting to run events. We sponsor a lot of events, and like I said, we do a lot of charity stuff. We do a lot of stuff on the back end. So we're just gonna keep growing the sports. The sport's going in a great direction right now with all the media and all the tournaments and all the hype behind it and it just boosted through COVID. So we're along for the ride.
Well, we wouldn't be Smashbox if we didn't ask you to give us an inside look at what's coming up next disc-wise. Do you have anything secret you can share with us? What are we looking at? Some new plastics, some new molds? I know you said you got the new machine. I think I saw it on something on Facebook or Instagram or something about bringing the machine in. So what's next? What kind of disc is next for Legacy?
Well, I have one right now that it's just a prototype right now. It's called the Badger. We released a prototype with PB's name on it, and so we have the new machine in. We're constantly working with a lot of plastics because there's a big shortage in the world right now. So we're getting materials from so many different places right now, and constantly experimenting with new stuff. Not all of it works, so you got to sample it. You got to work with it. But we've discovered a lot of nice material out there. So we do have some designs that are in the works, but it's so hard just to keep up with regular production right now. So that's important, just to keep up with production and keep trying to produce plastic and get the discs out to everybody. And when we have a moment to breathe, then we'll break out the new molds.
So I guess you're a perfect person to ask. We see all the manufacturers struggling to keep up with supply and demand. When do you see maybe not just Legacy, but the industry in general being able to catch up? Is it next year? Is it middle of next year, beginning, off season?
It's so
JRay's shaking his head.
It's so hard to tell right now. I talk to all the big dogs in all the other companies. We're all good friends and we all communicate, and the way the world is right now, and it's just hard to get material, and it's like that even in our concrete industry. Lumber is expensive. Concrete, there's the shortage of concrete that's gone up, very expensive. So, it's not just plastic and discs; it's all around in construction and in everything. So I have no idea exactly. Nobody really knows, and for the most part, I hope disc golf keeps booming, and we just, it's a good thing not to even be able to catch up. Discs are going out the door, and things have been great. So who knows? I can't even give you a time frame of when everybody's going to catch up.
Okay.
Well, and I kind of bring it back to catching up, Masters events, and what does, for either of you, and this maybe they're the same list or maybe it's vastly different, what are both of you guys looking for in a great Masters-based event? Like, specifically, what are like the 5 key points or 3 key points for both of you that you feel like, hey, if they check these boxes, this is a good Masters event?
Go ahead, Jay.
For me, it is first and foremost volunteers, great courses, a purse that's worthy of playing for, and just attention to detail, man. That's one of the things to me that I feel like the Pro Tour has done so well. That and given they have a giant staff that gets paid to have attention to detail, but it's things that that whether it's Music City Open or Selinsky Masters at Maple Hill or whatever, you have years, a year and a half, 2 years sometimes to prepare for these things, um, and it's not rocket science. The guys that are winning these bids have done this before. They're not rookies. They should know what they're doing, and they do know what they're doing for the most part. But yeah, man, it's just attention to detail and just and passion, man. I want passion from people. I do this so much. I do this all year long, 10 months of the year, sometimes 11, and I get as much as anybody how easy it is to get burnt out and to lose desire or to lose your efficacy of what you're trying to put out there every day. And so I empathize with the guys that are running these big events, but I've done it too. And man, it tears your guts out sometimes, but you gotta fight through that and realize that your job at that point is to serve the greater good. And in this instance, it's the players. And so as long as we're doing our best to serve the players to the best of our abilities, I feel like the product should speak for itself.
Okay. I like those. Steve, I'm not going to let you cop out and say ditto. So
at least add one more thing.
Yeah, I know that's why you want JRay to go first. No, give us your checklist. Like what things, and of course they can overlap, but what things need to check the boxes for you to say like, yeah, that was a great Masters focused event.
Ditto. No, I'm just playing. No, Jay's got a lot of experience in running events. I ran a few, but not as many. But no, I couldn't agree more with them though. I mean, first off, the location in the disc golf courses. I think that's where it starts first. Having the great venues and good courses, great location. Of course, we want a nice purse. Yeah, just about everything he said. I mean, it's having nice players parties and the fly marts and banners and all that kind of stuff is great too. So. But yeah. Jay,
what about challenge of the course? And here's something I'll say, as a tournament director as well. You get a lot of people that are like, and I'm going to use everything from recreational and intermediate all the way to Pro Masters 55 and up or 50 and up, whatever. All the different divisions. They're so often people are like, this course sucks. We should be playing the toughest tees. Now, you guys are both super skilled in your early 40s, but is there a legitimate challenge to having the appropriate tees and pins to service and adequately challenge Masters age golf?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not just the hardest tees, but you got to be playing the best tee pads. If you play the hardest tees, the hole couldn't shape up very good. It causes backups. You got a lot of backups out there. Like you said earlier, we're trying to get to these courses a lot quicker. There's rain delays out there, so it's got to flow good. But you want it to be fair as well. You don't want a whole lot of lucky stuff out there. You don't want to overburden it with string lines and islands and that kind of thing. So it's got to flow smooth. It's got to have a little bit of variety of everything.
JRay is, again, as a tournament director, I'm sure you hear that all the time. Like, oh, dude, I'm rated 850. I don't know why we're not playing the black tees. Like that's what we should be playing. I'll say sometimes I've gotten kickback from age-protected divisions that are also mad they're not playing the toughest tees. How do you balance that?
I feel like that comes in a lot more with AMs, at least in my experience,
Mhm.
that want to, they want to compare themselves to what open players are doing on the same course, and I get that. I think advanced level players and pro 40s should be playing the same thing that open players play, for the most part. Some of these new courses that are 2 years ago at Music City Open, we had a 1,500-foot par five, and it was ridiculous. But at the same time, like a perfect example is Doug Williams, Java, who just won, I think, MP 55 at U.S. Masters. He's from Jackson, Mississippi, I think now Missouri. But he is playing Bud Hill Masters, and he sent me a message and with a sponsorship, and it was like, man, I was really disappointed that you've got the MP50 guys playing one of the short course at Bud Hill instead of playing the Lakeside course that I designed. That's almost 11,000 feet, and I was like, Doug, do you realize that everyone else in your division would drop out if I made them go play that course? And they would. And because it's not built for them. They're 3 holes, you got to carry 380 feet over water just to get to the fairway.
I'm 43. I'm 43. Yeah, I wouldn't play that course.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic with that. But yeah, I agree. I think you get it from both sides. Like you get the guys that are going, no, we're here to have a good time, and we want to play the Deuce or Die course, and we're gonna have a great time doing it. And then you have the top level guys. They're going, no, I want to do this because they feel like it gives them an advantage. And you put them all on a short course. It's a Deuce or Die course. Well, now everybody can make birdies on every hole. So it is. It's kind of a delicate dance.
Yeah, I know that happens often, and I feel like sometimes age protected feels like, oh, hey, we're not getting the best course, and we're not getting the best layout on a given course or venue. Yep. And again, depending on who's making the complaint, they often seem very personal and self-serving when they're making that complaint, and that sometimes can be even that much tougher to swallow. Like, yeah, I get it, JRay. You throw like 6,000 feet. That doesn't mean we're going to put you on the longest tee on every single.
By the way, everybody.
Yeah,
JRay crushes.
So, anyway, it's. I think that's delicate because we all know, and I know there's 5-year increments and such that can be implemented at events. But let's be fair here. A lot of 40-year-olds or 41-year-olds don't throw like a 49-year-old, and vice versa, and so. It just can be a really difficult, delicate dance, as you said, to try and appease, even at these 10-year increments. It can be really challenging. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. I was not a huge fan. I get that there is a deterioration in our bodies through 5-year periods that happens, I'm sure. But my frustration with the 5-year, segments of divisions was we're already taking our smallest divisions and now we're cutting them in half.
Sure.
And so it hurts the field, it hurts the payouts, it hurts the, it makes putting cards together a lot harder. All those things that go with it. But at majors and stuff like that, yeah, do it up, whatever. If that makes you happy, then go do that. But at typical events, I think normal A tiers, B tiers, I think those 5-year divisions should be limited, or gotten rid of, just because you're already taking small divisions and splitting them up.
Well, I now, whether this is a PDGA thing or I don't know if DN has this kind of info, I would love to see what our Masters numbers look like today and then what they're projected to look like in 5 years or in 10 years, because obviously, as we're all experiencing, a lot of us we have a lot of new people, but also a lot of us that have come into the game that have been here a while are now getting to this Masters age, and all four of us being that.
Yeah, what's the size of the average Masters field in an A tier today versus what it was 10 years ago?
Exactly.
And then you could maybe project that into 10 years in the future to say, 25% of players continue to play into the I think the PDGA even has some of this stuff into the next thing. So if we have 27 or 25%, whatever, of a field now, we're going to add that in Masters. So yeah, that's interesting.
I think that's where we can then maybe tailor our resources and our needs to, because the numbers are going to show, hey, we've got this many people, that are going to be entering these various divisions. So I guess we'll see.
Agreed.
All right, boys, are we going to solve any other of the world's problems in disc golf here?
Yeah, what other problems? JRay, you got your ear to the ground. What other problems? What other dramas going on?
I hear there's a lot of stuff going on in Nashville.
I've heard a few
but
things.
I'm not touching that.
Well, we're looking forward to, of course, this upcoming weekend's national tour. We still got a lot of golf that gets played throughout the next month with the match play that just took place, then the national tour this upcoming weekend. USDGC is right around the corner, and then the Pro Tour Championships coming in after that. 2 weeks later, the next gen, or the NADGT, I should say, is closing out. For you guys, is there an event that is maybe open to everybody that you're still like super focused and or dedicated to be part of, like a USDGC or anything like that? Is there any event for you guys that still gets you regardless of your age?
For me, it's like playing Pro Worlds. That's go and compete against the best in the world, and it's it's always exciting. You get to play with all the new young guns out there, and try to compete with all the new big dogs out there. So it was an experience for me to go out there and play in Utah. Got my butt kicked, but yeah, that always gets me excited.
I was personally really disappointed that you weren't in Nashville this weekend, Stevie, because you won the very first national tour event, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And there are many rumors going around that this might be the very last national tour event based on what's happening with the Pro Tour and what's going to happen next year. Nobody's quite sure what's happening yet, but there's whispers. So why aren't you there winning?
Yeah. I had no idea, and I'm not really too involved with what's going on out there right now. So I'm so busy with what I got going on here at Legacy that, I had no idea that this was a rumor.
I mean, I don't know if anything's been decided yet, but that's what JRay told me.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
I'm just going to throw you under the bus. We'll see.
Yeah, there's, I think, a lot of things to get, so I guess to bring that back, talking about even next year and upcoming years and the various tours and the majors, as we've kind of talked about, where does the Masters Committee and Masters Tour, where is that conversation right now, JRay? Jeff Hungerford's kind of a point man on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I haven't, I'm still slammed with, I got 12 more events to run this year, but that'll be an off-season conversation. But yes, Jeff is definitely the point man on that, and I know that he has been kicking the tires with a lot of people to try to get that going. And I don't know if that's a 2-year, 3-year, whatever process for that, but I know that that's really what his end goal is to have some semblance of a Masters tour. But again, I'll be reaching out to him this off season to give any support that I can give to what he's doing, because I think that Jeff is just someone that's been around a long time. He's a very wise human, and he's got a lot of passion. So I'm definitely willing to help out with anything he wants to do.
All right. Well, looking forward to him and the crew, committee, whatever they continue to work on. I'm excited because I know that was a major issue or platform, agenda item for him. And clearly, as you guys are pointing out, and we already know that there is this want and need and desire, how that aligns with all the resources, that's to be determined, but it's got to get started somewhere, and it sounds like we're kind of all on that right path. Has anyone else led this? And maybe this is a wrap-up question, but has anyone else kind of led a charge like this or this kind of concerted effort that that didn't get to the next level or see it fully succeed? Is there anyone that you guys can think of from a Masters perspective?
I think that there might have been, like, back in the day with Southern Nationals, I think there might have been a little spearhead of that, and I think that kind of might be where Bud Hill Masters kind of spawned from. It was definitely the baby of the Daniels and Bud Hill, but I think that I'm sure that there have been multiple guys that have wanted that over the years and maybe pretended, but you can't. That's not a small undertaking. And it's certainly, you got to have a whole lot of help to get the leverage to pull something like that off.
All right. Well, I put Steve Rico in charge of technology and
it took him 19 minutes to get on this call. You think that's wise?
Okay.
Can I tell you why? I'm running my machines right now, and it took me a while to figure it out. So.
All right, whatever. You and your excuses. All right, seriously, no, we love
both of you guys.
We know that you're out there grinding it out hard and trying to get as much plastic out as you can, which everybody appreciates. Any final words out of you, Steve Rico, before we let you go here tonight?
No, I think we covered most of it, man. I just appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks to JRay for all the support, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
All right. And JRay, what do you got before we close it out here?
Man, no, just thank you guys for giving us a little bit of a platform to talk about this. Terry, you want to come play the Bud Hill Masters? I'll pay for it.
Ooh, wait,
what weekend is it again?
How long is the course? I'm out.
It's only the one day.
I do believe it actually conflicts. Oh, is it the 28th?
No, it's the 13th and 14th or something, I think.
Of October?
Yeah. So the weekend of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
Pro Tour Championships.
You're not doing anything.
You're not doing anything that weekend? You're not playing, are you?
I mean, I might sub in for Hambrick. I mean, people confuse us a lot.
Yes. It's the personality for sure.
Nothing to do with the shape or size of us. No. No, I will be in Bend, I believe. I am scheduled to be in Bend in the booth doing commentary for that weekend. So unfortunately, I will not be around. But it does sound like a pretty damn good place. You've talked about it.
Yeah,
okay.
We're going to change the dates next year and get you and Johnny V both out there.
Okay.
To come hang out with us and play some golf. But yeah, again, thank you guys.
We'll stream it old school Smashbox style with you just walking around in the course sticking microphones in people's faces.
We just need a Masters media division. That's what we need. There is not enough shine and spotlight on the Masters media players. I know Ace Run Pro is out there. Those guys will be thinking about that. Like the Masters that are in media. Bobby Brown is eligible. I'm just saying, we need our own division.
How come you guys don't ever get to play in the skins thing?
I don't know. They don't like us.
What skins thing?
I don't know.
Which one?
They're scared. They're scared of the Wily veterans.
Yeah.
You
guys should get into that.
All right, boys. We seriously appreciate your thoughts, your vision. It's
everything you do.
Like everything else, it's going to be a long uphill battle, but I'm sure we can find a way to arrive at some of the goals and the vision that you guys have. And looking forward to it. And obviously, Bud Hill Masters event sounds like it's very much a step in the right direction to continue to carry some of that momentum that we see from other Masters exclusive events, and looking forward to hearing more about it.
Cheers.
All right, take care, boys.
All right, guys.
See you guys later.
Right, see you guys.
Make me some frisbees. Okay, bye. All right, Steve Rico along with
two.
JRay.
Those two.
So thank you guys so much for joining us over there and giving us some insight. Sounds like a great event, of course.
I'm sure we'll summarize it when it comes
if you're not one of like the 48 people that are eligible to play at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, so like literally 99.9% of the rest of the PDGA population, you should certainly check it out if you can. But some notes coming in from the board. I'll catch up with those in a moment. All right. Do we want to break down anything else that we've seen? Do you want to quickly recap what we saw from the Match Play Championships this weekend?
Sure. Kelvin won. Paige won.
Spoiler, bro.
No. It was an exciting event we got to broadcast this weekend. The big upset was Ricky Wysocki losing to Emerson Keith, at least if you want to call it an upset based on numbers and seeding. Yeah. I mean, these guys are all the best players in the world, so anyone beating any other person for a single round is not really truly an upset, at least in the MPO field. I think there could have been some true upsets in the FPO field. Deanne Carey beating
Paige Pierce
would have been a huge upset, but we didn't see anything like that in the FPO field. It was a lot of fun. It was different. I kind of wish that we would have seen a little bit more personality out of some of the players during the round. I thought that was kind of encouraged beforehand, but I think once the bright lights showed up and the money was thrown around, I think everyone kind of got a little serious and wanted to kind of play for some cash,
which is understandable. I mean, this in some ways was obviously it was new, but it had an exhibition type feel almost to it, but at the same time the purse was so substantial that, you know, I mean, this is the largest individual check that is to be given out this year, you know, until a few weeks from now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, somebody taking third could have been their largest check of the year if they hadn't won a previous event, for instance. So there was plenty of seriousness that was added to it. And like you said, it would have been great to see even a little bit more of the jabbing and the back and forth with some of the players. And obviously some got into it more than others. But overall, good battles. Let me just say this, and I know it can be debated for hours if you guys want.
Let's do it. That's what Smashbox is for. No. Debate pointless things, whatever you're going to say, for hours.
And again, a little my bias, previous experience comes into play here. I'm totally good with 12 holes.
Oh, 100%.
As we learned, some matches could end early and some extended. And we're at the end of the season playing on a very long golf course. I don't want to say that 12 is an arbitrary number, because for some reason I've seen a number of match play events that happen to be 12 holes.
Well, we've also
maybe that's just
participated in an event where the course was a 24-hole course and it was easy to split it into 12.
Correct. So for a previous course that we've been at and played up at the team tournament at Sandy Point Resort. But it could have been I remember seeing early someone said, well, it's 12 holes because if it's 13, then it gets a rating. And I cannot
nothing to do with that.
Tell you any louder or harder that had nothing to do. This isn't getting a rating anyway, nor should it. If you think about it, people are could be laying up a 50-footer. In fact, people are picking up their disc when they're 30 feet away in the right situations. So clearly this should never have a rating attached to it. And quite honestly, a lot of the statistics certainly should be nullified, and I'm sure they will be.
They will be.
In overall...
You just said this wasn't going to be included on anything.
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
Because we've seen people pick up whatever or run at things they shouldn't.
Running at a shot from 100 feet away with OB directly behind the basket. Yeah. That's something they potentially would never be doing. So I wanted to drive that point home. Could you make an argument for 10 holes or 13 holes or 6? You could make an argument for literally any number.
I think it's strange for other people that it's not 18 or 9. I would have been fine with 9. To me, 12 feels like a pretty good number. It doesn't feel too short. It's definitely not 18. I mean, our rounds were still 3 hours to cover both cards. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I feel like keeping it shorter than 18 forces players to become a little more aggressive a little sooner. If you get down by 2 after 4 holes, you know that you're running out of time right there.
Yeah.
And as opposed to the full 18 where you could draw that out a lot longer, it would give you, I hate to say it'd give you a chance to come back, but it would, as opposed to 12 where you still have a chance to come back, but you need to kind of get your gear.
Yeah,
I like 12 personally, especially for something like this.
It was 12 holes on the, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was 12 holes on the MPO side, and it was something like 7,700 feet.
Mm-hmm.
There was plenty of golf to be played. Now, you can love or not the course. That's, again, always a personal preference. 7,700 feet, to put in perspective, that's longer than almost every course in your hometown.
And let me put that in perspective. That's longer than the course they're playing this weekend for rounds 1 and 2. A full 18 for MPO and FPO. It's longer than that.
So just know, nothing to do with ratings. I understand. Again, somebody could make an argument for it being 9. That's common, sure. But there's no requirement. I ran a match play tournament myself once, and because of the way the numbers worked out, 10 holes was a 10-hole match, and that made perfect sense to us. That's just sometimes the way it is. I mean, every course and every situation can be a little different. It would be different if they said, oh, it's an 18-hole match, and then 3 holes in said, nope, just so you know, it's only 12. Like, clearly, everything was laid out ahead of time. Everybody knew what they were getting into. Some of the strategies in which you just referenced, you have to start thinking about those things. And that's all. I mean, you need to go out and play great golf. But there's a ton of strategy in this format, of which I think some people fully miss the mark on simply because they're not used to playing it. Mm-hmm. It's a very different mentality.
And let me be clear about this, and maybe this is something that nobody wants to hear. The entire reason for this event isn't to give money to the players. The entire reason for this event is DGN. It's to add content for viewers to watch, people like you guys. And so this setup was built not specifically for live, but it didn't hurt that it was only 12, in that we had a nice, well, on one round it was only like less than an hour, but hour and a half to 2 hour break between rounds that all of our guys could get everything reset up, get ready for the second bracket, or bottom of the bracket, or however you want to label it. It really lined up for that. So do not be surprised if in the future you see stranger things. I want you to take a thought in your back of your head to say, does this work better for live? Because there's a good chance that that's one of the reasons, not the prime reason, but one of the reasons that some decisions are being made. And like it or not, that's what we do now. You know, DGN is a powerhouse. DGPT is a powerhouse, and you know, it's they want to provide content for their viewers, and you know, they're doing a great job in doing that with the live. But look at things like that they've done, like the VPI, the match play, the celebrity, all that stuff that goes on DGN. You know,
it's content. It's exclusive content to make you want to come find some of this extra fun stuff, fun yet competitive stuff that's on the network. That's all by design. And I guess I do chuckle when I saw some people log in and say, oh my God, this is such a ripoff. They're only playing 12 holes. You know what's a ripoff is the fact that, well, it's not a ripoff. 12 months ago, the event didn't even exist. It's not a ripoff. It's a bonus. It's additional content that didn't exist 12 months ago. And I just wish, I don't want to say I wish people could be more appreciative. I don't want to be scolding in that sense. I just wish people would recognize that this was, as you said, Johnny, this is to help add additional content to the network that wasn't owed or contracted or expected
sold
for anyone else. So it's really thanks to all the guys that made it happen, and then Discmania as a sponsor, along with all the people at the Steel Club and so on and so forth, for this to be even a reality. It's just it hurts my head and my heart a little when I read someone say, "Oh my God, they're only playing 12 holes. This is such a ripoff."
Someone said, or Dion said, mic up the players next year. I think this is one of the few events where I would actually be in favor of that, of miking up players. I don't like that idea personally for tournament rounds, but not in live. I can't trust, not that I don't love the players, but I can't trust what they're going to say. And until we have someone that can actually kind of monitor that, the last thing you want, the last thing a sponsor wants, the last thing a player wants is something to come out that they didn't necessarily mean for public consumption to come out. And like it or not, there are things out there that can happen. But yes, I think this is a cool event where you could do something like that and not really be too concerned about things that are being said, because some of it is stuff. Yeah, hot mic Nico. That would be kind of fun. Yeah, I think, was it Nico?
We don't have enough batteries.
Yeah, he just burns through wireless batteries. So that was kind of the match play, fun style of event, typical turnout. The course, very long, favored a long thrower, which is why the finals you saw Kelvin and Eagle. I mean, and Kelvin just played very, very well. Eagle didn't play that great on the final day, or the final round, so to speak. And that happens, unfortunately. Paige Pierce, no surprise, winning this event, being the furthest thrower in the division. Missy Gannon had a great showing by beating Haley King. That was a phenomenal match. Was that the one that went into extra holes?
Missy and Paige, the finals?
Well, Missy and Paige, not Missy and I was thinking Haley King, but yeah.
No, Haley and
Kat.
Haley and Kat ended on the first, or on the final hole.
The final hole, that's right. But either way, some really, really great matches out there, some exciting golf. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool format. I think we'll see it again next year. Personally, and I hope we don't see it this time of year, I think it would be better suited more towards the beginning of the year. A nice 12-hole match at the beginning of the year. There's not a lot that goes on at the beginning of the year, because once you get into the middle of the year, you've got the Midwest swing and you've got usually Worlds. The end of the year, you've got USDGC, Pro Tour finale, all that stuff. I think the beginning of the year would be a nice place for something like this to exist. Maybe like a April, May-ish time. So just personal opinion. I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Well, one thing that we will, whether it's a match play championship or any of the other matches, or should I say exhibition style events that take place, or extra events that take place, clearly different courses lend themselves to different outcomes and different viewing experiences. Players, competitors were able to, spectators were able to pretty easily walk around and consume this course in this situation, which I guess was very well received. Obviously, you take this event to the Beast over in Waco, and it's a totally different dynamic. And we don't need to have the open golf course argument versus a tight wooded course, because we can beat all of those points to death. But I think, depending on, like Johnny just said, the time of year and the general geography of where we're at will likely lend itself to what kind of an event that we're going to have.
I do want to address something very serious that we saw this weekend, Terry, and we heard, actually. I believe you had said that the Eagle McMahon throw was the greatest throw of the year, the best throw of the year.
Fight me, come at me.
And everybody knows that it's the Conrad throw-in. So the fact that you even thought in the
for
heat of the
1
moment
second, yes,
that this 700-foot park job, a knock your head on the basket throw from tee to basket, was greater than Conrad. I don't even know how I allowed you on the podcast this week.
I know. I say the dumbest stuff. I do. So, yes, I understood that that some people got really fired up. I am not diminishing James Conrad's shot in the heat of the moment of watching a 700-foot park job.
It's a better throw.
And it's funny because I feel like I almost said shot of the day is what I almost said. And I ended up saying shot of the year, or shot ever, or whatever I said. I almost said that's the best shot of the day. And I get it. Yes. No disrespect to James. I've called him. I've apologized. I sent him a postcard with a bunch of hearts on it. Yes, James had the best shot of all time given the circumstances.
Yes.
But anyway, yes, incredible shot by Eagle. Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna make excuses. It's funny that's exactly what I said, and how the internet had to erupt immediately.
There is
and
an
scream at me
argument
for it. But
to be made.
That's what I sign up for.
There's an argument to be made that in a vacuum, this is a better shot, 100%. In fact, there's not even an argument. This is a better shot than James Conrad's shot.
Again, you have to qualify it.
Exactly, you have to qualify it. In a vacuum, a 250-foot throw-in versus a 700-foot park job.
On a par 4.
On a par 4. Like,
sure.
Arguably, and we saw Eagle couldn't do it again. He couldn't even get close. He flipped it over. He hyzered it out. Like, that shot took more skill than James's shot. Now, you add in every other circumstance, the fact of being at Worlds, all this stuff, James is the greatest shot of all time. But when you look at a pure disc golf throw, I don't know if I've ever seen a better disc golf throw than what Eagle did there in my life. I don't. Like, from tee to basket like that, phenomenal. My jaw hit the floor on that.
Yeah. So, again, it was incredible in its own right. And thank you to the internet for yelling at me and telling me how wrong I am. But again,
we're gonna flog him later. Don't you worry.
You take that apparently when you're out there doing some commentary.
So, all right, that's the match play. Coming up this upcoming week, we have Music City Open over in Nashville. This is the last NT of the season. There's been, talks on the internets about courses and flooding, and I know today you can't complain about. You can, I suppose. Anyone can complain about anything. But I know weather, they got hit with some hurricanes, so there's been some flooding at the course. They were bringing in gravel today. I know some people have been kind of a little upset about not being able to practice the course or not being able to get in there. Unfortunately, that's life, and I don't think you have a very good complaint about that. It sucks, but suck it up, Buttercup. And then we see people. I mentioned this earlier. The thing that I find the most interesting of all things this upcoming week is the Cedar Hill course. That the FPO course is longer than the MPO course. The FPO course is 7,257 feet. The MPO course is 7,209 feet. I don't know if I have ever seen.
So that 45 feet has you all bent up.
No, I just think it's an interesting scenario that you have a longer FPO course.
I will say this.
I mean, they're different tees and different paths.
Exactly, and I will say
that, and hopefully it's a better course. It's just unique in that, can you ever think of a time that you've seen this? Ever?
I haven't run the numbers. I usually run tee to basket mando.com is my new website. No, I mean, I understand that it is seemingly shocking and very surprising, and I hope that it pans out as we're anticipating. Yes, it is very unique that that's happening. Without me intimately knowing the courses, though, I cannot pass any judgment on that. The FPO tees and or pins might be 100 times better.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know the course.
I can't say that they're not. I
just find it extremely interesting that we're seeing a longer FPO course, and in relative terms too. 7,200 feet or 7,257 or 72. Oh, I did my math wrong. Anyway. Oh, that's funny. The course distance is Steve's PDJ number, 7,257. Anyway, the 7,257 is still not insanely long No, that's the other thing.
FPO wise. That's not
Nope.
That's not an overbearing course. We've seen 8,000-9,000 feet, whatever. So 72.57 just at face value isn't incredibly long. So I'm expecting the course to be great and play out perfectly for them.
The two courses, one is, as we said, about 7,200 feet, maybe 7,300. The other course is 9,100 feet.
Okay, there you go.
So we're going to see some distance, but I do kind of like that we're kind of harkening back to some olden days where back in our day, a 7,200 foot course was a pretty decent sized course.
Yeah, that was a long, somewhat long course.
Yeah, you're like, wow, this is kind of a long course, and that's not the case anymore. Our players throw further, the courses are bigger. So I kind of like the fact that we're going to see like this almost old school style course that's going to challenge the players in a different mentality, a different way. I've said before that walking up to a 450-foot par 3 is different than walking up to a 250-foot par 3. There's a different pressure that you think like a 450-foot par 3. You think if you get it, I don't want to say it's a bonus, but it can be depending on the layout of the hole. A 250-foot par 3, I don't care what the layout of the hole is. You're probably
expected.
You're expected to get that. You have to get it. And if you don't, when you walk away from that hole, I lost to the field there. I lost to the field. Almost every single person you're thinking. 450? At par 3 is a par 3, right? Not the case. There's a different type of pressure with a 7,200-foot, quote-unquote, pitch and putt course. So I'm interested to see what's going on and how the course looks.
Yeah, I think if anyone's complaining that they're doing work to address water or drainage concerns, that seems a little crazy to me. I mean, let's be real. Whether it's a hurricane or a tropical storm or just 2 or 4 or 9 straight days of rain, there's only so much that can be done about some forces of nature.
Why don't we have a bubble over the course?
Yeah, a big tarp that goes over the 20 or 30 or 40 acres. So that doesn't concern me. Again, I'm interested to see how the actual holes play out for both the MPO and FPO sides.
Should be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Should be cool. I don't really have anything else beyond that, Terry. I don't think there was.
I know that
there was a Nantucket event this weekend.
Yep, that went down. I believe
Juliana won that in FPO,
and
I think by a stroke, maybe 2 over Heather.
Okay.
And I think Yuli won it in MPO.
He did. Picked himself up another
orange jacket.
No, they're I forget the exact
mustard.
No. It's a reddish, pinkish. There's official colors when you're on Nantucket and houses, and there's only certain colors that can actually be used.
It's like a strict homeowners association.
Yeah, exactly, for the entire island. And so I forget the exact color that it's deemed, but yes, champions from that event have a jacket that is of a specific color, similar to the green jacket for the Masters. Similar idea, except for it's whatever the Nantucket color is. So yeah, Yuli took that down over Casey White. Coling finished 3rd, and Kyle Moriarty finished in 4th. So congrats to them, 42 players. And then, like you said, Juliana had bested Heather Young by a stick, as some would say. Cutler took it down in Masters. Anything else that went down? There was the tournament out in Virginia. I'm not going to spoil that.
Battle at Bedford?
I think it's for Bedford. I'm not going to spoil it.
I will.
We've got some post-production coverage that someday will make the YouTubes.
Well, by the time you watch the post-production and it's out, you'll probably forget who won. Paul McBeth won by like 16 strokes.
Oh, is that good?
I think so. He's basically washed up.
Oh,
okay. Just so you know. So Paul McBeth won. I don't know about the FPO field. I did not happen to see that. I did see a couple of memes about Paul McBeth winning the Paul McBeth event or something, and him crowning himself champion. So
well, I'll just head this off now. In a last minute reach out on our behalf, the Disc Golf Guy channel had made the offer to get that event covered in a post-production format. So two gracious gentlemen, John and Dylan of Pastry Dyes, who have been doing work with me, they drove the 14 or 15 hours out there, covered all 3 rounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then ultimately drove themselves back. But that was I'm going to call it a 100% bonus activity for the channel to go out and capture that. It is not edited. I cannot make a promise as to when you're going to see it. You will certainly see it. There's a few paid gigs that are on the top of the queue right now that will be coming out very shortly. So then that will also get put into the mix. So somebody reached out to me, I think from a foreign country today, and said, hey, where is it? I can't find it. And I said, again, don't hold your breath. I understand everybody's excited, but
well, I think
with the situation, it is not on the top of the queue. Let me word it that way.
Of all the weekends to not do post-production next day, this actually would have been like the best one. And I know you obviously you couldn't do anything. You were busy working. You had other guys doing that. It's not like you could coordinate all of it. But the fact that the match play is post-produced, but I believe GK is like slow rolling it out through this week. And so there was no coverage for people really who dig post-production to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think that was really the big, this was I by no means do I mean for you a missed opportunity. This was an opening in the calendar that a lot of people maybe didn't think of or didn't expect, that post-production could have thrived. So
I haven't even seen the guys or the footage return to Wisconsin yet. So that puts it into perspective of it not being yet available. So, all right. Did we recap everything we saw? Is there anything else that we're concerned about? Looks like there are a few awards that were also given away. You want to mention those?
Sure. Real quick, I'll just mention that Derek Saar won the 2020 Bob West Memorial Award for sportsmanship. So congratulations to him. Chris Dickerson, 2020 Player of the Year, along with Katrina Allen.
And
Paige Pierce. We knew that, though. We knew there was a tie there. Rookie of the Year, Kyle Klein, Kat Murch.
And then also that was announced, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this was. I didn't even see this.
Because you can't read.
You're right. I barely read this.
There were no pictures.
Why weren't there more pictures?
Instagram, no help.
The Brent Hambrick Award for Tournament Director of the Year was Jeff Spring. So congratulations, Jeff. Basically for being the tournament TD on record for the Preserve, Portland, Green Mountain Championships, and the DGPT Championship event. And of course, he's the Pro Tour CEO. So, Volunteer of the Year, Mike Krupicka. Congratulations, Mike. Senior Player of the Year, Andy Young. The Edge Award went to Daniel Wood. And we have some points leaders right now. I believe in FPO, Paige and Kat are like within a point or two of each other. And I think this weekend's Music City Open will determine who next year's Player of the Year
I don't know
is.
if it is the final event. I guess we'd actually have to do some research for this.
Think-
I know that they're close, and Paige had referenced that during the awards ceremony.
Okay. This closes out the 2020 National Tour.
Yeah, the National Tour.
I don't know if they include USDGC in this. I don't think so. I think this is just PDGA stuff. I don't think USDGC is counted. So either way, something to look forward to. There's Paige and Kat will both have a little extra motivation this weekend to beat each other, as if they needed more.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to it. And, of course, like we said, the final stop on the national tour. On the MPO side, the big battle, that the closest battle for the national tour points is Ricky Wysocki has the edge over Paul Macbeth right now. So we'll see how that finishes out. And in the national tour, Katrina Allen is leading the charge over Haley King, I believe, who's currently in second. So this event obviously then will determine your national tour.
The National Tour Point Series winner.
Exactly. All right. Cody, I am not coming to Nashville. Plans changed yesterday. So what I think we're going to do is close things out here for the regular show. We'll get into the after show where we'll have a little more action to bring you. Some things disc golf related. Many things may not be. Anything is
some hot takes, some hot debate action, Terry?
No.
Okay. I didn't know.
But we'll have some action for you coming up in just a few minutes. So we're going to close things out. We got to thank JRay along with Steve for joining us, talking a little bit about the Bud Hill Masters. Next week, we're going to have representatives from the Throw Pink event. I believe we're going to have Sarah Nicholson and likely Jonathan Poole. I think those are the two main people. There might be more guests to that, but I know we'll have the two of them that are going to be joining us. And then also...
It's been a couple of years since Jonathan Poole's been on the show, I think.
I think so. And then also, in addition to them, we're talking to possibly like a Cool Daddy Slick Breeze and or a Tyler Searle. They have something going on in October as well when it comes to a big event down at the beach.
Disc Golf Beach Days or something?
Beach Bashin'.
The Beach Bash.
And then some of that other stuff that goes along with that. So that's who I believe
to see Bobby Brown in a bikini.
Next. We're going to have... Again,
no?
Too late.
Oh. Darn it.
All right.
Dude's fit now.
You haven't?
I haven't, but dude's fit now. So
he was fit just fine before.
He's fitter.
I like all of my Bobby. All right, we're going to close it out. This has been podcast 369 for Johnny and myself. Stick around in the after show. We're going to have some giveaways, and we'll blather on about some other stuff and interact with you in the chat board. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 369's After Show. Here we are. Little action coming at you guys. Here is the after show, and with that, we often head over to the YouTube chats, the Facebook chats, the Twitch chats, whatever, all those chats. And I love to read things that are coming in from there, and then we can directly react or interact with something that you're throwing out. Now, again, it doesn't have to be disc golf related. It could be a question. It could be a statement. It could be anything else non-related, but certainly we love it when you interact with us, and we carry on from there. Sometimes we have other random stories that go along with whatever's happening. I'm catching up on the chat since we closed out the regular show. One of the things I'm seeing is that somebody suggested that for Fan of the Year, Ray had said that Ari should be Fan of the Year. We were talking about accolades, end-of-year awards and such that have been either granted or will be granted or earned here in a short time. And Fan of the Year, I don't think I've ever seen that category before. However,
I mean,
it couldn't be any more fitting than giving that to Ari. And here's why.
Okay.
You said you hesitated.
I did.
Why would you suggest possibly not?
She is a paid employee.
Okay.
So not that she can't be a fan, but she is paid to be a fan of Ricky. And she's a sweetheart. I love her to death. But fan of the year, I don't know if you can give that to an employee of a player.
You can, and here's why.
Okay. Sell me, Terry.
She cheers for everybody.
I know she does.
And she of course might be a tad louder for Rick, and Rick's good shots. I feel like she's a fan of the game, and even if she were not on Ricky's payroll, she would be out there loudly engaging and interacting and applauding. And so for all those reasons, and I think namely the number one reason is she will cheer for everybody.
I know she does.
Any good shots, she recognizes, she reacts accordingly, and therefore, in my opinion, she's, if said award ever existed, I'd have no problem with her earning it. And maybe there should be an annual Ari award. Name it right after
the Ari Awards.
The Aris. No, I love that, because I feel like it would be easy to be a little frustrated or dismissive if she only, even though it'd be understandable, but she doesn't. She cheers for everybody. She cheers for good golf, and she talks to everybody, and she's certainly a great person to have out there on the course. And she's been so helpful too, in terms of, for the longest time, she was one of the main U-Discers. It might have been during Ricky's best year, but
very strange.
Odd. Ricky never seems to win a tournament that she's not.
Well,
nah, I'm kidding.
I would say maybe his circle 2 putting percentage went up just a few points. Like, if those are on the border, do you think she's like pushing that? Like, nice toe. It looks circle 2 to me.
Yeah. Well, did he make it? Yeah. Anyway, it would be fitting. Someone's asking if Dion's got some fancy stats to share. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but I'm sure he'll have some. Dion, I'm guessing Statmando ran some information for Music City. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, but I will be excited to see what you broke down for us, so we can sound a little bit smarter on the board this weekend.
I'm excited to have the weekend off.
Yeah. Also, Kevin Jones, fan of the year. That he is definitely could be in the running as well, because we know how he really loves to appreciate and recognize other people's efforts out on the course.
All players,
all of his competitors.
The players' press conference from this past weekend.
You get it.
I couldn't think of the word press conference. I just think conference, and I'm like, it's not a conference. Press conference. Kevin Jones and Kona Panis were my 2 favorite reactions. When Double G said he threw 770 feet downhill, Kevin was almost in tears laughing, and watching Kevin laugh like that is contagious.
Yeah.
Of course, Missy's brutal assassination of Kona, and the way Kona took it was phenomenal. But honestly, Kevin Jones, I think, was just his reaction to Double G made me smile every time I saw it this weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Some people really embraced that, that trash talking, and went into it with a little bit more, I don't want to just say fun, but they certainly had a good time with it, and that was a lot of fun to see. So very cool. Sorry, I read something else there. Oh, someone said I vote the American flag shorts guy. Certainly,
most visible fan of the year.
Yeah,
probably.
visible and or, but he was kind of a volunteer. Well, so I guess he crosses categories too. Because did he have a? I don't think he didn't have a flag. Never mind. He wasn't. No, I was thinking he was a spotter. He was not. Yeah, he was just a fan. He was
just a fan.
An excitable fan, that's for sure. Ray is talking about serious WWE vibes and UFC weigh-ins and conferences and that. Let's face it, in a serious setting, it is a little different and or awkward sometimes when some of our players are being interviewed at these press conferences, and their fellow competitors, who they probably already know what they're going to say, but their fellow competitors sometimes are in the room. And I'll be the first to admit, there's been a time where Ricky Wysocki is at 310. I'll just make up a time, but he's at 310. Paul McBeth's at 320, and so Paul's sitting in the very same conference room that we're in, and he may be hearing what Ricky is saying, and depending on how questions are pointed, sometimes there's just a certain level of comfort that gets turned up or turned down. Paige and Kat, and it's not like any of these players don't know they're fierce competitors with one another, but sometimes to actually hear the words said while you're in the room, it's a lot different than a light poke or a jab that's thrown over Instagram or Facebook.
I'm going to divert this conversation
to
talk about Ricky real quick. Did you see the competition or the sweepstakes or whatever that Ricky's running?
Yeah, love it. Let's promote it. We're not paid to do this.
We're not paid to do this, but we love Ricky. Ricky is giving away a all expenses paid trip to USDGC for a fan.
I just want to know if I can win that.
I think no. You're already probably going there.
Dang it.
Would the Pro Tour enter you in so they don't have to pay for travel? Yeah, so if you, and I don't exactly know how you enter, but if you go to Ricky's Instagram, and I think it's on his Facebook, but for sure his Instagram, he talks about flying a player out.
I'll just read it.
Okay,
this is from his Instagram. He talks about being there. I'll be covering, this is in the text description, I'll be covering your airfare, hotel, car rental, and USDGC VIP entry. For your chance to be selected, all you have to do is follow the Disc Shack, which is a pro shop. Those are big words. A pro shop in Arizona that Ricky is directly involved with.
You had a problem with press conference.
I know.
Way to go.
So follow the Disc Shack. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. His, not mine. Both. And tag 2 of your friends in the comments. I'll be selecting a winner very soon, so get in there. So you got to follow the Disc Shack and subscribe to his YouTube and then tag 2 friends. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think that's phenomenal. So it includes the VIP admission to USDGC,
yep,
a round-trip flight, a rental car, and a hotel for the event. What more could you want?
I don't know. Yeah. So
I'm assuming you have to be in the U.S.
That would. Hopefully they made a. Well, maybe there's not enough time per COVID for you to get there anyway. So too bad. But yes, Ricky Wysocki, very cool. No. Please go out there. Of course, we'd love for anyone to possibly win that. That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, let's have a Smashy win it.
That would be even better. We should rig it.
I don't know how we'd rig it.
I don't know. We'll find a way. Maybe. All right, I want to give a quick shout out. This is pretty random, but one of the gentlemen that we met and got to hang out with during the Celebrity Pro-Am, Julian Marquez, MMA guy,
the
UFC
Cuban
guy.
Missile Crisis?
Yep, the Cuban Missile Crisis or whatever.
That's his nickname.
Yep, he got a sponsorship of some sort from Rockstar, and he was posting about it last night. I said, dude, you don't know how much I talk about and how much I love the certain flavor of sugar-free Rockstars, because he drinks a similar one. But congratulations. It was a little scary. He busted out like 24 of them. He's like, yeah, this should last me a couple days. I'm like, whoa. Now that I'm going to legitimately claim is unhealthy. I very much try to limit my sugar-free Rockstars, and
I think he said last time when he was in town and we chatted that his next fight is in November. So I'll be curious. I'll have to look at it. At one point during the night, I was crawling on his back. So.
Yes, and it wasn't that weird.
No, not at all.
As it never is.
Not once.
All right. Let's read up on what else we had. Ray says, the Upshot had a good discussion a couple weeks back about how we are in a prime moment to have someone create a Hard Knock style Life on Tour documentary series. Yeah, sure.
Isn't that kind of maybe a little of what Paige's documentary is? I mean, it kind of follows her season, maybe not like true Life on the Road style. It follows her season in disc golf in general. Here's the problem that I see with the Hard Knocks life kind of thing. You need a lot of cameramen for that. Like, that is, even if you just followed, we'll just say Kevin Jones. Let's just use Kevin as an example. You followed Kevin around. There's only so much you can film him, driving and talking and this and that. And then you have to edit all that footage together. Like, that's more than one person.
Yeah,
you're looking at a small crew for that.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So
and $100,000 or more.
Oh yeah, at least. I mean that's why it's very difficult. Would it be cool? Yes. Logistically, I think it's going to be difficult for a while until someone's willing to drop that kind of cash for like at least 2 cameramen to probably follow someone around like that and an editor.
So then it begs the question. We'll throw it out to you guys in the chat. Who do you want to see?
That's a dumb question, I think.
Well, let's be fair. Paul McBeth's and Ricky's, for instance, even those two of the top in the game, very different. Just incredibly different lifestyles, I feel like, for how they're going at it from week to week to week. And then contrast that with a Kevin Jones. And then you look at, I'll just throw out another name, you look at a Kat and Austin Hannum, who are obviously traveling as a couple,
boring.
Or a Jessica and a Double G. You think?
Little less boring.
Okay.
No, truly, like, I don't want to watch the top players. I know everyone's like, I want to see how Ricky and Eagle. No, you know what they do? They drive, they stay in their little, whatever living arrangement they have, and they play well and they leave. That has zero interest to me. And maybe I'm unique in that. Maybe everyone else wants to see Paul and kind of cruise around in his RV with Hannah and the dog and Harrison and watch him. Oh, look, I took third, I took first, I took second. To me, I want to see someone like
Ezra Aderhold.
Ezra. That's a great example. Casey White. I want to see someone who isn't in the top 10. I want, someone who's not comfortable. How do you get by week to week? I want to see you sit on Facebook and message people from whatever community and local club and try to find a place to stay. Go to that thing. I want to see Ezra, how he fits in his workout routine. That's what I personally want to see. You take the top 10 players for me, and for me, you wash them. Gone. I don't want any of them. They're too comfortable. They're too easy to I hate to say it, they get around too easily, but they do. And maybe if you're doing a Hard Knocks, maybe you have a couple players in there and you contrast like what Ezra's doing versus what Ricky is doing, or what, like that's kind of how I feel. I don't want to see comfort. I don't know. That's whatever. But you know what I don't, Can I rant for a second?
Please. Is it gonna be dumb, and are you gonna be wrong?
I'm not gonna be dumb and wrong.
Okay.
But I don't know if you want to be associated with this.
Probably not.
So you might want to get off camera. Pro players. I'm sick and tired of scrolling through your Instagram feeds, and there's probably about 6 of you out there, and almost week after week you complain about how you're gonna do better next week. Stop. It's annoying. Trust the process. I'll get there. Yeah. Stop it. I don't care how you did last week. Show me what you're gonna do. Tell me what you're gonna do. I'm gonna sit. I would rather see an Instagram of you putting for an hour than listen to another complaint about how you took 33rd place and just another bad week. I'm done. I'm done with it. Stop posting it. I don't want to see one of them next year. Instead, show me what you're doing to get better, because that's all what I care about is what you're going to do to get better and not suck.
Don't those kind of like overlap?
No.
Like, oh, my putting was terrible this weekend. I was bad off the tee. I wasn't mentally focused. I mean, when you're saying those things,
show me what you're going to do to
does
do
that
better.
Immediately imply that those are the things that you've recognized that you're going to fix for the next week? Or no?
No.
Okay.
Guess what? If I played like crap and I putted like garbage, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to sit and practice my putting next week. I would hope it would, but that might just be whatever. Show me what you're doing to get better, not complain about what you did. That's what
is part of their process to digest and to reflect and to compartmentalize, and then that's what helps them get over their poor week.
Maybe, but when you're doing it when I see a post like this every 3rd week from a player, or there's like 6 of them out there that do this, that like it's too frequent for me to follow, and it doesn't feel like you're getting better.
Your social media better for me.
I know it's their social media, but I mean,
live your life better. The more how I want to read your life.
Yes, I would rather see what you're doing to get better than hear you complain that you did poorly. We all know you did poorly. We see the results. You don't get mentioned when we talk in the top 10 and your name doesn't come up. Awkward.
That's how they know that.
Like, I know when you're
that's
sitting,
how you get your name mentioned.
When you're sitting watching Smashbox Tuesday, you're please mention me. God, it was 23rd. How'd they not go down that far? I want to see a player being like, "Hey, I'm out here on the field. It's a Tuesday. I had a problem last weekend with my putting. This is what I'm going to do to get better," and just show them putting. Constant. Like, here's my issue. I'm sick of it. I'm literally sick of it. I skip them. If I see a post that's like, if it starts out with, "This past weekend, I didn't perform to," click, I'm gone. I don't want to know. I don't want to know why you didn't.
What if they finished 5th? We'll just make up a number. They finished 4th or 5th, and then they're reflecting on the weekend that they had. How does that strike you?
I don't know. I'd have to see it. I never see that, though. So that's the problem. And I think there's something in the community. Maybe there is there's only probably 3 people in the world that can complain about taking 5th. Man, 5th. I had a rough weekend. Really? There's 72 other people under there below you that are laughing at you like, "Yeah, you had a bad weekend. Oh, bummer, you took 5th."
Yeah,
and so I think there might be some pressure for people not to post something like that. Short of Ricky and Paul, and maybe like a Kevin Jones and an Eagle, those are the Chris Dickerson, probably, and Kelvin. There you go. Those are the people that can complain about taking 5th. I just named almost every one of them.
Well, and I think about what the post was that I saw from Eagle and how he broke down his day, or I'm sorry, his weekend. I think about what I just saw from, I don't know where it went. Him, and he's talking about, to him, his self-assessment.
Sure.
And I know there's a fine line between, complaining and or self-assessment or ownership of your shortcomings. I think there's that all of those lines are kind of blurred, and why they're posting on their social media.
Agreed.
I think you could be more mad if they were coming to your page.
Stop posting on my social. It's my feed. Why are you in my feed doing this? And again, I don't so much mind the post if you tag it with what you're going to do to follow up. But too many times I don't read that. I don't see someone say, I really struggled with my mental game. Cool. What are you going to do to fix your mental game? Okay. How do you fix that? Tell me that. Or my circle 2 putts, man. I hit 1 for 27 this weekend. I'm going to sit and focus on that this weekend. Tell me what you're going to do to fix the problem you had. Because if you're not doing that, I'm going to get bored of you, that you are not trying to get better. Because I'll tell you, I'm going to, Ezra is not one of these people that does this. But if Ezra constantly told me that he was finishing poorly, but he showed me he was always in the gym, that doesn't get you better at disc golf. I see a ton of guys at the gym that don't get better at disc golf. You got to be on the course to get better at disc golf, or be practicing in front of a basket, or working on your 250-foot forehand shots, or whatever you're doing to get better. Show me that. That's what I want to personally see. And maybe I'm unique. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe nobody else wants to agree with me. Maybe everybody loves the complaining post about people whining about, not cashing. I don't know. I don't know.
Just do me a favor. Go find that disclaimer we talked about in the previous regular show about how these are your opinions.
These are my opinions. And I can say this because I don't have to see these players every week. So that's why I said you might want to step out of the frame.
No, I understand.
I don't think I'm alone in people that that get annoyed with those type of posts.
Correct.
When it's many weeks.
Yeah, there is something to be said about it feels like, and again, if people are treating Facebook like it's their diary, you can't be mad when they're doing it on their own.
No, it's their own.
When they're doing it on their own feed. For some people, it is probably.
I'm not asking them to stop. I'm asking them to follow it up with what you're going to do.
Okay,
that's what I want to see. And don't be vague. Don't be.
Vague is great.
No, don't be vague. Like just. And again, this is the term I hear. Like trust the process. What's your process? How? What are you doing to get better? It's not a secret. Guess what? Paul McBeth didn't trust the process. He went out and putted 500 putts a night or whatever he did. That's how he became the best putter in the world. Show me you're doing that. Show me, if your complaint was I ran out of steam on the course, it was a hilly course, it was long, it was 12,000 feet. Man, I ran out of energy. I need to really work on my stamina. Cool. Then maybe show me pictures of you in the gym running on the treadmill. Just saying.
All right.
This has been Johnny's pet peeve rant. All the disclaimer is all opinions are held by Johnny only. They do not reflect Smashbox or Terry Miller in any way. Cool. Is that good? Are you good with that?
Yes, much better.
Okay, thank you.
Earlier, and I see them out on the board, Cody had asked about me being in Music City. And this is maybe a minor detail for some. It wasn't for me, but yeah, I originally was scheduled and was slotted to be on course reporter, also probably lead questioner, interviewer for tomorrow's press conference. And I was going to physically be on site for Music City Open. Super excited about it, largely in part because I haven't been there. I haven't seen those courses in person. So getting firsthand experience of being there, in addition to all the tasks that I perform and all the fun things that I enjoy doing down there, it sounds like there was a change of plans and some initiatives and whatnot that had come through. And so rather than Jamie Thomas, who was originally scheduled to fly into the Milwaukee studio, Jamie was to be with Philo and Elaine King. And instead, I will remain here in Milwaukee, of which I live within 25 minutes of the studio.
Makes a lot of sense.
And I will instead be here doing the hosting and hence play-by-play and hosting of the show, with Elaine and Philo being the additional host and color commentary. So that's what you're going to see this weekend. I feel like I don't feel like the decision was I guess ultimately finalized yesterday. So it for anyone that I did talk to, there's plenty of people that I said, I'll see you here or I'll see you there, or there's a few tasks and other things that I wanted to get accomplished that won't be taking place in person. And so I will not be down at Music City this weekend, which again, it really is.
You were going to get me some really good whiskey, weren't you?
I had a few things I was going to get you. But also, one of the challenges that this poses, and I'm not sure as much about, I'll admit I'm not sure about Philo and Elaine as much, but one of the significant challenge that this poses is that I've never seen these courses, and that immediately puts you at a slight disadvantage. And of course, I can potentially watch some other previous golf from other things that maybe covered it, and there are drone previews that I'm sure I'm going to be able to consume at some point. I think it's fair to say to everyone, that for everyone to recognize or realize, playing a course is playing or walking a course is very, very different than never visiting the course and only seeing it on air. Yeah, I mean, it's just, those are two different, very different approaches. And again, I give credit to often people like Nate and Val, sometimes Jamie, Charlie Eisenhood, maybe more than anyone that can do really good commentary and hosting and or play-by-play without ever seeing a course. I have nothing but the utmost respect for, and I'm going to do my best, but there is something to be said about having been on a course, even if it's just to really recognize, like, hey, yeah, this water is even closer than it looks in this spot, or those trees really do come into play, but that doesn't necessarily translate as well. Those are those are just a few of the examples of things that really, can shine through when you've visited or walked a course. One of the reasons I was adamant about seeing all three courses for the U.S. Women's event earlier in the year, the U.S. Women's Championships, myself, Hannah, nor Val had I guess Val had seen one or two of them, but we were largely unfamiliar, and with a whole booth that way, that's why I made it such an effort to then go walk all 3 of the courses in one of the days that I had between the 2 events out there. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I won't be there. I'll be here in the booth, and Philo and Elaine will be with me. So looking forward to that.
Good. I'm not helping out at all.
Yes. So to bring that full circle, there was also a conversation, Johnny, your one of your aunts that you are not particularly close with, but
actually, she's of all my aunts.
Is she your favorite?
No.
Okay, so then you're
no, but we're a pretty close family.
Okay.
She came down with last weekend. She came down 2 weekends ago. We'll start there. 2 weekends ago, she went to the doctor, wasn't feeling well. They called it upper respiratory thing. This past weekend, she was having a very hard time breathing, and they ended up taking her to the hospital. Within very, very, very short amount of time, they had her intubated, all this other stuff. So they were not sure that she was going to be able to make it through the night, is what they told us. So I got a text at like 3 a.m. saying that, and I told the crew, I said, hey, and this is in the middle of our match play thing. I said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen next weekend. If things go really south with this, I may have to, be gone a day, depending on what happens with. I didn't know timing for funeral, because that was in the back of my head and this and that. So I said, there's a chance I might miss a day of doing broadcasting. So the Pro Tour was like, eesh, that doesn't sound good. We don't really have a good backup for you right now in town, so you could miss a day. So instead, they're bringing in Ian from Portland, who has done other switching. And thankfully, my aunt now I'll say right now, as of today, is on the mend. They've lowered her oxygen levels that she needs, all this other stuff. So it's looking better. No one has any idea. She's been sedated for 4 days or something like that. So, but she's responsive a little bit, and I have no clue. I haven't seen her. But ultimately, they're bringing in Ian, so I'm going to have the weekend off. So
must be nice.
It is. This will be like my first weekend off.
Maybe you should do. What do you think about hosting? We could have you in as a host.
I would love to come in and do some host. No, maybe not hosting. I'd rather do color. But
okay.
But I would love to come in and do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think we should have you do that.
I don't think I will, but
whatever.
Well, I mean, it would be a lot of fun.
What else better do you have?
So in work, I don't have to take, because this is a 4-day event, I don't have to take 2 days of vacation to go do Pro Tour stuff. I'm going to work right through Friday, and I might actually watch the broadcast, which would be kind of crazy. I'll have it on the background at work, like most of you do, I'm sure, at home on Thursday and Friday. And then I don't know what I'm going to do Saturday and Sunday. I got a new place here to figure out lots of stuff I can take care of.
I was going to say, anything going on in Wisconsin this weekend?
I never even
not
looked.
that you could participate probably
no
due
way.
to...
I didn't even look because I assumed everything was sold out.
Yeah, it's going to be sold out. I just don't know if there's actually an event going on in the area. But what is going on, just before USDGC, we're going to have one little tiny weekend off, and that's going to be the 2nd and the 3rd. Well, for the most part, we'll have the weekend off. But October 2nd, MIDI Disc Golf and we've all teamed up. We're going to have a temporary course that will be played here in the Milwaukee area. There are some spots still available, but we're going to have vending. There's going to be food carts, food trucks, those things. Like I said, a short temporary course that's set up, and a number of vendors will be here. So just throwing that out. If you're anywhere in the Milwaukee area, reach out or look for a post from mine to encourage you to come participate in that. Again, totally temporary, fun little layout that will be had, and really looking forward to it. All right. I'm going to throw out also, speaking of events, I had a brief chat with Nigel Mills. Some of you know him. He's been on the show, and he is your owner and tournament director over there at Samui Disc Golf. Had a quick chat with him last night. Of course, like the rest of the world, conversations about international travel and all of those things that go along with it. But there was a quick conversation about the idea of still seeing potentially the Samui swine take place in some capacity next year. Clearly, it may not be the international hubbub that it's been for the last few years, but certainly looking forward to finding a way to make that a possibility still. It's crazy to try and think about. Like, normally at this time of year, you have flights booked, you know where you're going on an international flight in 3 or 4 months out, and now just everything's still up in the air. So hopefully there's a way that can still become a thing, and if so, I'll have to report back from Thailand. That will be the plan anyway. All right, I'm reading off the board. Go ahead.
We can give something away.
We can. Some people are asking about Ken Climo and commentary. I don't think Ken, I'll just say this. First of all, I haven't personally reached out to him, so I am purely speculating here. I don't think it has anything to do with whether it's an Innova or Vent or not. I don't think that would personally matter to him. If the right opportunity for commentary came along that interested him, it could be put on by Discraft or Legacy. None of that matters. Is my thought. I don't think. I think the commitment to doing commentary in any extended period, I'm guessing, just may or may not be up his alley of interest. And what I mean by that is,
he's got a young kid.
He's got
a couple of years old,
like a 6 or 7 year old, 5, 6, 7 year old. His daughter, one of his children, his youngest though, is of that age. And to commit to leaving for anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 days or whatever it might be, and then maybe doing it multiple times, just may or may not interest him. I feel like if it would interest him, we would probably have heard or seen him more by now. So I think there might be just an interest level in doing so. Certainly more than qualified, times a million. And I'm not ruling it out that we'll see or hear from him on any given time.
I bet you he shows up in a few years.
But yeah, I think it's just right now it's probably a matter of where his priorities are and what he feels is most important. And then I guess the bigger question is, when you look at having someone like him, is he someone that you want to hear from every single weekend? Because he's not committing to that, and I don't blame him. Is it only a particular set of events? Is it a certain region of the country? Like, I think there's a lot of different things that could factor into what would interest him the most. I feel like he's in the ultimate position of obviously saying yay or nay to anything, but maybe it just really has to pique his interest just the right amount.
I can't imagine him wanting to like really do commentary for like an event like a Preserve or a Jonesboro, like an event he has no familiarity with, no course familiarity, like just doesn't really. There's not a history. There's not a. To be honest, he probably doesn't even know a crap ton of the players anymore. Like he clearly knows the top guys. He'll know your Rickies, your Paul, probably Calvin and things like that. But you know, is he going to know your Gavin Rathbun? Is he going to know your Gannon Burr? Is he? I bet my guess is that he is not as up to date on some of the newer players as he needs to be, and he could probably. It would take him a few weeks, but he could probably get caught up. Yeah, he could. It just, I'll be the first to admit I don't know how much he's keeping up with disc golf. And knowing Kenny, maybe he could know Gannon Burr's PDGA number right now and what he shot in third round at Waco. That also would not surprise me. He really has a brain like that. But I feel like that, yes, he's probably a little bit removed, and there would have to be. It'd be more logical if there's a nostalgic or historical tie to the event and or the people that are playing in it for him to be involved. So I do want to clarify, Ryan Pilcher asked if the USDGC commentary booth will be in Bend this year. That kind of stinks. I think having the booth on site for the course has been a cool touch. Well, Ryan, then your cool touching will continue. The USDGC event, you will see the commentary teams of Juliana and Hannah for the Throw Pink. They will be commentating on site at the USDGC. And then you have Ian and Philo commentating on site at the USDGC. So those will be on site, on location. I'm going to be involved in some capacity as well with doing that. Not the I think you're getting
commentary.
them water.
Yes, I will be. I'm officially their water boys, and so I just run water to all of the skilled commentators. So I will be doing that, and the event that will have commentary from Bend, one of the upcoming ones, will be the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. In fact, I believe it is myself and maybe Nate Sexton, but then Nate Doss and Valerie Jenkins. We will be doing the Pro Tour Championship in Charlotte, but commentating from Bend. So,
true story. And someone said, "What if Juliana qualifies this weekend?" She'll turn it down.
Yeah,
she's already committed to doing commentary. I think she qualified a while ago, actually.
I believe she did.
Yeah, and so she had planned on playing it originally at the beginning of the year, and then she ends up turning it down because she said she'd rather do commentary. I mean, she said she had some of her blog.
Oh, one of the blogs you were ripping on.
Yeah,
because she writes one almost every day.
She does write one every day, but I like hers. Hers are more travel. Hers are more travel blog.
Okay, she gets a pass. 5-timer gets a pass from.
You got to at least have 5 world championships.
Wow, that's pretty.
So she doesn't complain about her shooting very much. She kind of just tells you what happened. Oh, on hole 17, I took a 6 when I, 3-putted, but then I followed it up with a park job birdie and I won by a stroke. Or I think that was her story this particular weekend. She there's not a lot of complaining. It's more factual. But she stated factually that she was going to be doing the commentary.
Yes. All right. As Johnny's got those pulled up, Ryan, drive safely. I know you're driving down to Nashville, so be safe down there. Is USDGC on DGN? We don't know every intricate detail, but USDGC will be on DGN, and I believe there's going to be a paywall and a discount then for current DGN subscribers to said paywall.
Yes.
That's what we know definitely.
We definitely know that it is on DGN.
More details I don't know.
The final day will not be on YouTube. It will be a DGN exclusive. You will have to pay additional for it. It's $20 or $25, I think, depending on if you get the gold versus the normal package. The USCGC has all that on their website, so I don't know numbers. Don't quote me on that. But yes, it is an exclusive to DGN. So
okay, that brings up
pony up that cash.
That brings up another point from earlier, which I would agree with. Someone actively on our chat had said they would love that the final day of the Match Play Championship, if that was exclusively on Disc Golf Network.
It should have been, in my opinion.
I would be a fan of that as well. I love the idea of some exclusivity that is just that completely exclusive to our DGN supporters and networks. Now, I also very much support and understand the point in then offering it to the greater community as well. I think that's been, as many people have said, our model's backwards. We give you the best final days for free. So if somebody ever wanted to argue about, gatekeeping, so to speak, or our paywall, we give you the conclusion of every event for free, and we don't give you the earlier rounds.
And we've talked about this in the past, the reasoning for it, the fact that that's going to be your biggest numbers, and if you want to attract more sponsors, you show them the bigger numbers you get. And until we get so big where then it makes sense to put it behind a paywall where you're not necessarily looking for like those huge numbers anymore, and you have advertising spots filled up, that type of stuff makes sense. So that's why they're doing it, because to show like, hey, look, we get 10, 12, 14,000 concurrent viewers or whatever the numbers are these days. So.
Yeah. So, but I would if somebody would have said, hey, the final day of the new match play event, which is again almost a bonus content, if that was exclusively behind the DGN paywall, I would have been okay with that as well. I think that.
I thought it was, to be honest.
Others are way more generous than me. What can I say?
Up until Saturday, I thought it was. So
okay, all right. Why don't you go ahead and make a poll here, Johnny, for something that we're going to be giving away for free.
Real quick, there is a discount if you're a DGN subscriber
Yes.
for the USCGC thing. All right, so we are going to give away something out of Terry's personal stash.
Ooh, I found, man, don't quote me on this, but this sounds too generous, but if you want one of the new P2s that were released today, I had to sit on them for like a month. Everybody had to. They were officially available as of today.
Because you were sitting on them for a month?
The box hasn't even been opened. I don't know what colors are in there. I have no idea. I ordered as many as you were allowed to order. And I think I could give one of those away, which sounds a little too generous. I understand, but that's what we do for our Smashies.
We do.
Let's do that. Unless you want a different disc that I could work with you on. But if you are up for a brand new P2 just released as of today.
Not an Alpaca, not an Omega.
Correct.
A P2. All right. So patreon.com/SmashboxTV. That's how you become eligible for our weekly giveaways. You can go out there, subscribe at any level, and give us your cash. We appreciate it. It helps us continue to do things like give stuff away
every day,
every week. We're not giving stuff away every day, no matter what Terry says. It's just once a week.
I think we should.
Yeah, so that's it allows us to continue to do the podcast on a regular basis. I think I brought this up with you that we may be, now that Disc Golf Answer Man is technically on a hiatus with Bobby leaving DD, we might be the longest, I'm fairly certain we're the longest running podcast now.
You mean like tonight?
Well, that too.
It's almost 3 hours.
I mean, we're definitely the longest running one tonight, but I think we're the longest running going back into the archives at 368.
369.
369.
369. Damn good time. Okay. Get low. All right. Pick the number.
Anyway.
Thank you guys for supporting us. We love all of our viewers and subscribers.
We do.
The ones that contribute, we might like you more, but I mean, I think that's simple economics.
That
I mean,
is
you would have to expect that.
We have 187 people eligible for our giveaway. 185 of them were from Patreon, and 2 of them went to smashbox.tv/weekly winner. I think that's what it is. I'll look at it again sometime. Maybe next week I'll remind everybody what it is. There's 2 people that remember, and they go every week. So thank you guys. You're getting a free chance at a disc every week, and this week it's a P2. So how do you want me to do this, Terry Miller?
Wow, we even have Miles Parkhill begging for a free plug for Paragon Disc Golf, so we'll give it to him.
Oh, heck yeah,
because
Miles.
he's such a nice guy.
And he's a Patreon supporter.
And he is. And Miles, in all seriousness, it's funny you say that. I've been putting off calling you for a few days, but yeah, we need to talk. I've got some needs possibly,
and they're probably due next week. So he's going to get to you really quick.
They actually aren't quite that soon, but they are close. They're coming up. So let's talk soon. Okay, let's. Yeah, I know, Ray. We're losing people. We are down. A number of subscribers, or a number of our Patreon supporters, have found other places to go. Apparently they don't like free stuff. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, if anybody wants to get on board, you're certainly welcome to. Again, patreon.com/SmashboxTV, and you can contribute literally at any level.
So, what number should I generate, Terry? Not what number, but how many button clicks?
Ooh, how many button clicks?
I'm gonna go with 2 because we had 2 guests tonight.
No, we always do 2. Like
you say that, but we don't always do 2.
We
Sometimes
frequently
we do 3,
get to 2.
We do 4. We do 1.
I think we should do 4. There's gonna be 4 rounds at the Mad City. Sorry, the Music City, also an MCO.
4 of them.
But there's only 3 letters
1,
in MCO.
2, 3, and our 4th number is 157. I sorted them by first name backwards.
Oh my gosh.
157. I need to.
157, folks. We're going to get at the action.
Bryant Chamberlain. You are 157. So congratulations, Bryant. You first of all, your domain is at AIM.com. Is that AOL?
Yeah, AOL Instant Messenger.
AOL Instant Messenger. So
we love that.
If
for
it
starters.
is, shout out to my heart right there. And we will we'll get you that. So congratulations, Bryant.
We appreciate that. You look like you're a super serious Smashy and supporter of us over at the Patreons. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much, Bryant. So On a slightly off tangent, tonight I was sitting waiting for my son to get done with swimming. I've the past 2 days, which is more than I've done in 10 years. I worked out because he's now swimming at the Y, so I have no excuse not to literally walk 300 feet to the door to go to the workout facility, and I have a Y membership. But when I came back from working out, I sat in the car and I put on some music, and Sheryl Crow came on, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good song." And I decided to play the whole Tuesday Night Music Club album.
Wow.
And let me say, holy crap, does that hold up? I didn't think it was going to. There's like maybe 2 songs on there that I was like, there's like the Nana song I skipped, or like one other. I also did skip her like Leaving Las Vegas because it's the most popular one, and I was just like, I mean, I've heard it 1,000 times, but holy crap, does that album hold up? So if you're interested, 1993 it came out. I had to look. So
crazy.
Just listen to it. I was like, I'm gonna listen to this whole damn album.
What do you think she feels about that?
I listened to her whole album. Probably pretty good. She's a big Bucks fan. Her son was a huge Giannis fan, and so she came to a couple of the finals games, and she just played here at Summerfest like 2 weeks ago. She opened up. It's funny to say that she opened up, but she opened up for who's the really big country band right now? Like really big. Trying to think. Someone out there will know it. Like,
well, Nas X.
Nope, not Nas X. I wouldn't necessarily call him country. It's a guy's name. I forget. But either way, the album holds up. And I'm
okay.
Old, and I'm old. So
yeah, I'm thinking about I'm gonna have to check around on the Googles for how can you. What's the easiest way to get music? So like
Napster,
okay,
BearShare, LimeWire,
okay, yeah, those sound good.
IRC,
Torrent, something,
BitTorrent.
I feel like I need to get music loaded onto my phone, of which I have none. If anything, when I listen to some music on my phone, it's a channel I've all but concocted through Pandora. But man, it sure would be nice to have actual music that I specifically want. Do I have to go and pay for stuff? Probably. Yeah,
you can either pay for like a Spotify, or
then I could just build a list specifically to that.
Specifically for you. That would make the most sense. You could take the time. I'm sure. I think you and I, did we have this conversation on camera or off camera? I think it was off. No, because we were at the studio. So my wife messaged me the other day, and she's like, "Hey, you've got 8 boxes of CDs. What do you want to do with them? You want your son to like organize them like you had them?" Because I had them all alphabetical, but we put them all in boxes, so they're probably relatively close still. And I was like, ugh. And they were stored away. They were like on a shelf, but way in a back closet that no one ever went to. I still have a 5-disc changer. I set it up in the basement here. And I was thinking, like, do I want to get them all out? Do I want it? There's probably 300-400 CDs there between myself and my wife's collection. Do I want to put them on display? Do I want to store them somewhere? I kind of want to have access to them. But for now, I said, just leave them in the box. I don't want to mess with them. It'll be like literally the last thing I get out. But you could take your CDs and... No, you don't have CDs probably anymore. If you do, they're not...
Yeah, I mean...
You couldn't digitize them.
No,
they're probably all scratched up.
Well, where would I have
You'd have to have a CD player.
Yeah.
Or a DVD player on a computer or something.
Yeah, man, these are some real problems.
These are. Ultimately, Spotify is probably going to be your right answer.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay for that.
I know you don't.
I'm way too cheap for that.
I know. Then you need to...
yeah, somebody said they're going to... Jim says he'll send me a mixtape. I mean...
I found 2 mixtapes.
I could see finding a somewhere. I know I have a tape player somewhere. I guarantee you. I find a tape player. I go the stereo out jack into the auxiliary in on my car, and boom, I'm listening to mixtapes like tomorrow. I feel like that's the best way to do this. Could you imagine? Seriously, like, no, let's listen to this song, and then literally pressing it, waiting for it. Oh my gosh.
I have a tape deck in there too.
Yeah.
I have not hooked it up, but I have it in there. It's a dual tape deck.
Yeah, of course.
It has
to
be.
record from one to the other and dub all your... I mean, Yeah, I mean that's so much easier than waiting for the song on the radio and then hitting record just when that song comes in. And yeah, what a pain that used to be.
So yeah, so I need to decide. I wish.
I mean, you hold on to them for nostalgic purposes.
I do, because I don't even know if I can sell them at like a CD exchange anymore. I don't know if anyone takes them. I'm sure someone does.
The thing is, if you hold on to them for another 5, 10, 20 years, whatever it's going to be, somebody's going to pay nostalgia dollars for them.
Maybe.
Yeah, somebody will at some point. This is kind of, and speaking of nostalgia, a few weeks ago, I was when I had spent one of my nights in New York. There was a gentleman who was parked just outside of Times Square, and he had a DeLorean, and which are all kind of neat and interesting and everything else. Michael Bernard is one of the artists that you've seen do like a lot of Garbage Pail Kid themed disc golf art. He's done a ton of it.
I saw his 80s style, homage to the 80s, where it had just tons and tons of characters.
Yeah, that's his full-time, he's this incredible graphic artist. He posted how in a couple days his DeLorean will be 20 years old because 40? 40 years old. Sorry. Yeah, because it's October from 81. And then I posted the picture that I had of where I took a picture of a guy in Times Square who also had one. And it was all neat and fine and dandy, except for this guy. And if you go to Times Square, you'll probably see him. This guy is holding a piece of paper, and the second you as much as glance at his car, he gets in your face shaking this piece of paper that says tips before pics. Tips prior to pictures, or whatever it says. Sure. Something of that nature. Because he wants you to pay him for taking a picture of his car.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, because I'm a prick, I got into it with him.
You got into it with somebody on the street that is trying to get you to pay. Yeah, okay.
I mean, can you understand my argument just so far at face value? Like, this guy is parked illegally. Side note, he's parked illegally outside at Times Square with his DeLorean, his all decked out DeLorean. He has it just parked there, and if you want to take a picture, or you do take a picture, he's expecting you to pay for that.
How is that much different than someone dressed up as Elmo? That's standing there, and
correct.
You pay for pics with them, or as opposed to you turn around and taking a selfie with him or something.
Correct. Now,
I mean,
I understand that, and that's what I said. I'm all about him accepting the tips, like the performers and the actors do in Times Square. First of all, they're in some way now recognized, not certified or recognized. There's some kind of badge or something that they're wearing. At that point, a person is dressing up in costume with the sole intention of coming down and interacting in Times Square to get these pictures taken. Again, you don't have to pay them. Of course, they're expecting that, and that's kind of the standard. But I guess my comparison would be, if somebody rolls up in a nice car and you take a picture of it, should there be an obligation?
No. To
then pay that person?
No.
In fact, they might be the last person that needs $1 or $2. But anyway, here's the deal. Just like I said, I wouldn't typically have a problem. Now, if I wanted to sit in the car, if I wanted to get right next to it's specifically sit, because I feel like, of course, I don't have any entitlement to go sit in anyone's car, even if he does have it all open on display. No. Of course, I don't feel that whatsoever. My bigger problem was his hostility, because I swear almost within seconds of just looking his way at his car, he's violently shaking this thing, yelling at you about how you need to pay him. It was all about his tone. It was his demeanor. Is it neat? Sure. You show up with a car? I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was really interesting. It kind of got me all sparked up. At one point when he was yelling at me about being disrespectful, he then moments later said something or other about me being a fat ass. And I was like, wow, I guess you don't see the irony here in what you just said, what you feel like you were being disrespectful, and then you calling me that. And I don't care if you call me a name or whatever. I just found it funny that that was his angle, and then went on to like a child. he had to call me that.
Well, yeah, you're arguing with a street vendor ultimately, and I know he's not officially a street vendor, but you're arguing with someone who clearly it's not worth your time to argue.
Well, and here the kicker was, it wasn't just me. Clearly, I saw him get into it with many others, because again, it anything more than a glance at this car, which is on the edge of Times Square or block off of it, whatever, and it's so much as a glance, and he had to get in your face, and
maybe he's learned that that's the only way it works. Maybe he's been there for 5 years and he tried a subtle approach and that didn't work, and he progressively got more aggressive. I don't know, Terry Miller. It's a dude on the street in New York. Nothing ends well.
Do
with
you
that.
feel an obligation?
Maybe. I mean, like, as someone on the board said, if you sit there and there's 3 guys doing a drum routine, and you
which I've watched plenty of.
Yep, and you sit there for 15 minutes. Do you feel obligated to tip them then?
In that scenario, yeah. If I sit there that long, yeah, I'd have no problem throwing money in their bucket or whatever.
How is that any different than what you're doing? Than him building this display,
and then driving it to you in Times Square where people are hanging out, and then you walking past it and wanting to take a picture of it.
Yeah, it's not much different. I mean, it's a different art. That's all it is.
Oh, for sure.
So again, I mean, you're valuing one over the other. I don't know if it's the right or wrong answer, but you could. Let's just put it this way. You could. I don't think you're obligated. Just like the person you're watching drum on the street, you're not obligated. Is it great? Yes. Do you have to? No.
Tim on the board says Paul Macbeth charged me a buzz to take a picture of his McLaren. Anyway, and Sue says at least he didn't spit on you. He was yelling. He was yelling violently. He's not. I don't know what his exact heritage is, or
he's a doctor.
He had a little bit of an exactly.
Doc Brown.
He had a little bit of an accent that I don't think it was any kind of shtick or anything like that. He was just so aggressive, like instantaneously aggressive, and right off the bat, I just feel like he therefore then sets the wrong tone. And it's just so funny, like you're bringing your car to show off to people, and you just like are so passionately screaming at people about how they need to give you money because he pulled his car onto the street. Anyway, thought it was interesting.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
Terry
we
Miller.
can. I'm trying to read. Anyway, you should make an NFT. Trust me, the thought crossed my mind about what could or couldn't be done, or if I should vlog, and then the irony that it would be to make money on me talking trash to this guy. Trust me, that thought did cross my mind because I'm a big jerk like that. Right, Tim? All right, guys, we're going to close it out. We want to thank you for joining us. Just shy of 3 hours. Holy cow. It's been a lot of fun. We have to thank Steve, along with JRay in our regular show. And, however you see fit in pushing Masters and age-protected disc golf forward. I know Jeff Hungerford, for instance, who's even a little older than just the MP40. Clearly, there's a market for them, and I want to continue to see all of those grow and get as much respect as possibly can be garnered up and be thrown their way, as so many of them were and are pioneers and volunteers and the trailblazers of our sport. I think it's just a matter of all of us arriving there in the best way that we can. We're going to close it out. We'll see you this weekend for the Music City Open, the final national tour of the 2021 season. It's going to be all on Disc Golf Network. We'll have the first 3 days of coverage. There's a cut to the 4th day. You're going to be able to watch that as well on Disc Golf Network and or YouTube. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you in just a few days when you step inside the Smash Box.